They thought it was over, but here we are back again. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. All right. Listen, don't adjust your TV set. Your tablet on your phone. Yes, the Black Files is back. Episode 11. Yes, Scully is here. God damn it. All right. Okay. Don't adjust nothing. All right. We are here and we about to really, really turn it up. But we are also not alone. Okay. We not alone. Got my brother Rush from the Labuto Network. Yeah. Also got my brother Von Eric. Big brother Von Eric. What up, baby? You know what I'm saying?
Blessing all. What's up, everybody?
Yes, sir. Before we get into this, let me give a shout out to man, Edom Man Williams. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Also, salute to the homie Simon, aka the Food Channel. Simon, what's going on, man? Simon, all right, look, we about to really get into this. I know you're gonna be saying some crazy shit, but it's all good. We here for you, all right? we with it today, okay? Also, salute to M3. M3, what up? What up? Also, salute to Stan Joseph. What's going on? What's going on? We got a question, okay? For those on this panel and in the chat. All right, the question is there hypocrisy in all religion? Okay, all religion. I'm not just talking about Christianity, not talking about Islam, all right? Not talking about Judaism. I'm not talking about Buddhism. I'm talking about all religion. Is there hypocrisy, right? And why are we so afraid to call out these hypocrisies? What is this? Why is there so much fear within us? You know what I mean? But I'm gonna kick it off, you know, and ladies first as always. The lady will kick it off because I know she about to go in. So I'm gonna put myself on mute. Lady Miss Oshun, let's get it.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So to answer the question, and I know it's a highly charged question because you're talking about somebody's personal religion, right? Which is a very sensitive topic whenever you bring that up. The question is about hypocrisy. And I think we should separate a few things, meaning separate people from the religion. Now, there's problems on both sides in terms of hypocrisy. You have a set religion and you have hypocritical people, right? But then you have a religion that was set up by people that is supposed to, the purpose of religion is to help you become balanced as a person and live in harmony with your environment and with yourself, first and foremost. However, the way the religion is set up, it falls short of that in many different ways. So I would say we have to deal with that on both sides. We can't just talk about it as one conversation, because it's going to be a different answer depending on what we're talking about. And I won't belabor that point so early in the conversation, but generally I think that what we're looking at is different sets of irresponsibility and different sets of hypocrisy. And it seems like one big, balloon of, hypocrisy. But when you break it down, it's more understandable versus just looking at it all in one. But that's what I would say right now.
Brother Vaughn or Rush, any of y'all want to make it open the statements? Is there hypocrisy in our religion? If you want to make open a statement, if you want to rebuttal anything that Lola has said, anything y'all want to do, we here. Let's get it.
Yo, so when y'all say hypocrisy, like in what sense?
Basically, is all religion flawed? Basically, are we missing some text? Are we missing some facts? Are we just living our life based on what people are telling us, or basically what those who have oppressed us or colonized us or have done whatever they've done to us or basically mind-fucked us? Or like, is there hypocrisy in this? Right? Are we really getting the full story behind religion? Are we really living our lives to our full purpose, or are we just living things based on things that are not really even real, and is it really being hypocritical based on us being misled, right? Texts being taken out, things of that nature. People, governments and everything changing their concepts. They're saying they one nation under God, then they change their rules and parameters, which have nothing to do with God. So yeah. So, and also salute to Bro Clarence. You know what I'm saying? Salute, Bro Clarence. Yes, I am back. Yes. You know what I mean? Salute. And make sure y'all like and subscribe to Let's Talk the Better Black Life with Bro Clarence and the crew. You know what I'm saying? Also, you know what I mean? Make sure you subscribe to the Food Channel. You know what I mean? Also, Knowledge and Relationships. You know what I mean? The home base. I know what it is. So that's what I mean, Rush. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't think it's hypocrisy. I think it's the fundamental of having or developing a moral compass. I think the old school ways is the best way. You know what I mean?
Okay, so the old school way is the best way. Okay, go ahead, Vaughn.
First of all, let me say, hey, Rush Libido Network, good content that you had in your past 2 streams. I like those 2 guys that you had and the woman that you just had. Good information. Keep up the good work. Also want to give my blessings to you, Box, and Miss O'Shawn for reaching out to me and allowed me to come on y'all platforms. Much blessings when y'all do things like that. So big ups to y'all. Keep up good work, and it was blessed being on the panel with y'all. And thank you. The hypocrisy, yes, I do see that. I see that in religion and outside of the religion. And it seems like it's prevalent more so as more generation comes. But it also has a lot to do with the way the information is given. I think a lot of it also when people see the people who is leading the religion and they say one thing and their actions are different and they do things opposite of what they're preaching, people look at that as a hypocrisy, and then they say, well, if the preacher doing it or the deacon doing it or the usher doing it and all people in church, then we can do it. And there's a lot of things that information, the way it's given, some people doesn't have the full understanding, and even the teacher who is teaching at times doesn't have the full understanding. So hypocrisy can come out of that. Some people do it knowingly and some people do it unknowingly.
Yeah, I would have to agree that I don't think it's all something that's deliberately done to circumvent, basically abiding by rules, and whatnot. I do think some of it is, actually a lot of it is unintentional because it's a part of our way of life almost. I would agree to that as well. Personally, I've seen in my personal life, I've seen people be very religious in terms of going to their religious institution, being a part of their community, doing religious rituals and things like that. But then when they come home, the very rules that govern their religion, that say what they're supposed to do at home and how they're supposed to conduct themselves, they don't feel that is a part of them. Like, that's not their religious duty. I know in some religions, particularly in Orthodox Islam, marriage and being a wife/husband is half of your religion. So that's how much that the weight of marriage and, like, for instance, keeping your marriage together, it weighs upon your spirituality. So, people prioritize that in a sense. However, once people get married in that community, now the problems come. So people want to get married, and they do often because they want to complete their religious rituals. However, once they do get married, this is where you start seeing where relationships are extremely culturally toxic, just the way they're just normally conducted. And so there we see the hypocrisy in just religion in general, meaning you going to the mosque, you're going to the church, you're going to the temples, to learn how to be a better person through your spiritual journey. But then when you get into the real world, which is with your family first, you're a monster. And your religion is like water off a duck's back. You see what I'm saying? So that says, well, there's a part of you that don't believe that religion that you're following. Like, and that's honest to God. Like, a lot of people do not really believe in the religion that they say they're a part of. It's just like if I said, hey, I don't like touching fire because it's hot. And then you see me openly putting my hand on the stove like I'm crazy. It's like either I don't understand fire or what I just said to you is a lie, one of the two. See what I'm saying? So I would say that, yeah, there are some people who are hypocritical. They know what it is, but a part of them just don't believe it. Like these priests that go around, graping young children in churches. You don't really believe in God's wrath if you would do that. You really don't, because in a sense, preservation of self is your first instinct, right? So if you don't even feel the need to preserve yourself in terms of what you believe will happen to you, that's because you really don't believe that whatever that book says that's going to happen to you is going to happen to you. So you freely do it. Like, we know you're not crazy. So, you're crazy in a way, but we know you're not like inconceivably crazy. You know what you're doing, you're conscious of. So this is in part what leads up to what I feel is that hypocrisy that we see daily that affects our view of said religion. Now, we don't necessarily need hypocrisy for our view of the religion to be changed based on the religion itself. We really don't need hypocrisy for that. We could just look at the book itself and discover issues that we want to take up in general. However, when we don't see the religion doing its job on people, like spiritually, they're just as corrupt as if they didn't have religion. This is what creates the disconnect between, let's say, the newer generation and the older generation. We start finding less and less reasons to be religious, less and less reasons to believe in, a higher power, a different world that's supplanted over this world that exists, things like that. And we just become increasingly just, as they say, our sensitivity becomes dull to, let's say, messages that we may have otherwise been sensitive to that could have come from, God, our ancestors, whatever the case may be. Just because of that, I recently seen something because I'm doing some research on my channel on the Dogon tribe, and I was kind of disgusted with what I found in terms of the religious rites of that group and how it's let's say projected onto the younger people coming up. There was something that was done that I said, you know what, I know that's game they're running, but because other people believe it and it's in their heart space to believe it, they're not going to see what I see. But this is the problem. I can openly see people being hypocritical, but they're using other people's blindness to their benefit. But again, as I always say to some people, and it's the best, what I always say, right? Human beings are a little better than dogs. Just a little bit.
Yo, and maybe you're right. Listen, I'm not knocking anybody for what they believe. All right, you can believe in Santa Claus if you want. Believe in Easter Money. Whatever you want to believe it. All right, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? And listen, if you're in the chat or you are, you want to come up, the link is pinned. You can defend your beliefs. You can tell us why it's not hypocritical. You can do all that, and we can have a great conversation. All right. Now, let me take another close to the pulse from the homie Great Pill podcast. What's going on, Great Pill? Good to see you. Good to see you. You know what I mean? So, Eater Man wanted to know what we was talking about. I said we're talking about all religion. You know what I mean? And Eater Man says Christianity is the way, and then Brooklyn says God is the way. Okay, so y'all saying, okay. Listen, like I said, the link is pinned. Because that could mean an assortment of things, all right? That could mean a lot of things. And I'm not knocking nobody's faith, but that could mean a lot of things. And we got M3 in the building. It's going M3. What up? Share what you got to share, brother. We here.
What up, Mr. Best? Good evening, everyone. And I'm going to say it like this, right? before I say fuck religion, I always ask myself, like, okay, why religion was created? What does it really, like, benefit for someone's well-being? I understand the detriment, and hopefully I'm not too loud because I am driving at the moment. So I want to, be able to come up there for a minute. But when it comes to religion, all I see is like a bunch of destruction, a bunch of like separation. I understand everybody has their own beliefs, and then there's certain people who just believe that, like, religion should not ever exist. Some believe that the colonizer, created like the Bible and, other parts in America to try to keep people controlled and keep people's minds separated from like the real truth. The problem is that we have, as blacks, have our own original history, unfortunately, which was destroyed. And because that true history was destroyed, we're going by a belief that may never take us to the so-called promised land, whether it be heaven, hell, or whatever. We don't even know like what's going to happen to us until that moment when we all pass. But for now, the only thing that I could really say that what would probably be best to subscribe to is basically doing to others as you want people doing to you while you're still living on this earth. That's the only benefits that I can really see. If that is actually a practice for religion, is to pretty much like live like a person with a good life or whatever, have good spirits or whatever, and make sure like that respect is to reciprocate. But other than that, people who are diehard like Christian fans, or I would say people who are diehard into their religion and their belief, and they focus on like trying to tear other people down in order for them to prove themselves that's right. Those are ones that I'm just gonna say like, hey man, fuck your religion, because by the end of the day, you may go to like the same bottomless pit just like the one that you're condemning. So that's my thoughts like when it comes to religion.
God dang. Ooh, man, and it's very interesting. I see Eat a Man and having a great conversation. Go ahead, Vaughn. Go ahead.
He really told us what's on his heart.
Damn.
but I would say this: we see religion. How do you see religion? Because religion, the word religion is a broad word. There's a lot within that word. Okay, you could be religion when it comes to serving a God, or you could be in a religion when it comes to relationship. You could be in a religion and serving in a gang. You could be in a religion and serving in the mob. All of these are religions. It's nothing but guidelines and rules and regulations. Now, it's some people that just, if I say a religion when it comes to a God or a deity, you pick the one that is you gravitate to in your heart. Some people just listen to people, just take it in and not go and research and not go and see what interpretation that your heart is gravitate to. This is a problem, because when people see something they dislike, they're like, well, you know what? I don't even want to have nothing to do with it. Okay, well, serve the religion that your heart gravitates to, that your mind is getting massage of what you're reading, what you love. Then you're in a religion within yourself. You may not want to be in religion with a group of people, but it is a lot of times, like M3 said, it's these people that practice religion and do it for their own agenda, like as far as how the United States was established. They put in a religion of an interpretation which they like, which they believe it would control the people, and by you controlling the people, you're getting a reward. Mm-hmm. When you see that, and it's just not United States, it's all religions around the world, all of them do it. All these elite people get that religion, put it in their interpretation. to accomplish their agenda so they can lead you for what they want you to go. What you have to do is like, hold up, let me go and get my interpretation so I can see them people coming. So I can play the game and reward myself and my family or my friends. That's what you do when you see a person who has a religion, who established their own religion to accomplish their own agenda. You know you can do that too. But when you do it, you should do it with love, not to do it for selfishness, just to control yourself. That's when destruction comes. That's when destruction comes. That's the reason why God said to Cain. Because he was worried about what he wanted, not what God wanted, or not what love wants. And this is the reason why religion gets this bad rap, because what the people do. Blame the people who is controlling it. Don't blame the God. Blame the people.
Okay, I'm gonna blame the people, but I'm also gonna blame the colonizer for writing the scriptures. So it's the colonizer's fault for misleading a lot of blacks or whatever, right? To manipulate and control and to be the best slaves as possible. But that's my own personal belief. Here's the thing, right? I believe that there's. Hold on. Shut up. Hold on. Sorry about that, my navigator. Anyways, I believe that, like, there's a God that do exist. Because how can you ever explain our true existence? I'm not going to say evolution and all this other bull crap or whatever, right? That scientists are saying that. But I believe that, like, okay, that there is, like, maybe a true story behind this. But I also feel like, if we're talking about, like, the Bible stuff or whatever, right? I'm just going to go by Christianity a little bit, because that was the book that I pretty much had subscribed to at one point. So if the scripture saying that the book has never been tampered with, right? But then yet you having all these different versions, all these different translations, and certain things that was omitted, how can I ever say that the Bible was never like tampered with? If the main rule of the Bible is supposed to be like a fat white king named King James or whatever, how can I really go by, the root of, like, one of the colonizers? All I know is that, like, we're reading something and we're believing in something that actually, some of our beliefs actually helps carry us through during the hard times. I'm not going to knock that part out, but at the same time, realistically, are we really serving a true God?
So why you keep going back to the colonizer, and that's where you stay.
You told me to blame people, so that's what I'm doing.
Ethiopia was never colonized, so why you don't talk about them?
Again, you told me to blame people, so I'm blaming the colonizers. I blame the people who write the scriptures.
That's the people. So why don't you go and also talk about the people who wasn't colonized, that also practice the Christianity or the Bible? Why don't you? And they had Islam in Ethiopia too, and the Jewish tradition. So why don't you also talk about them?
What about them? I don't know. I'm not a big look, Von Eric. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm not a big Bible person.
No, it doesn't have to be a Bible person. You could be as far as history. As far as history, when you're talking about colonizer, why don't you also talk about the history of a group that was not colonized? Why don't you talk about as far as what the Ethiopians did with Islam, with the Jewish, and with Christianity, as far as how they spread it and did not colonize? So why don't you talk about that also?
I'm only talking about, okay, so let me recorrect this, right? Okay, I'm only talking about something that only relates to American issues. Okay, what I've learned of American history, what I sense that things has been omitted. Ethiopia and all that, I'm not from around that area, so I can't talk about something that I don't really know or haven't dig deep into their history. I can only dig deep into what we're learning about what other people, okay, are using the Bible to whip Black Americans as Negro slaves.
Oh, okay. Well, if you talk, well, I understand that, but Quantum said Ethiopia does not have the same book or practice. That is true. They do not have the same, but it depends on what book you're talking about. But yeah, that is true, and the same practice. But my point is, why don't people talk about that?
Oh, shoot.
Why don't people talk about that? Also, you know, one of the first churches in the United States is the Ethiopian church. It's in New York. So,
well, I mean, well, you're here to talk about it, right? Huh? So, I mean, feel free to educate us on that part. Because remember, we don't know like a lot of things. Sorry, I was calling you Von Brian. Von Eric, hold on for a second. I'm gonna have to turn my camera off real quick.
That is true. We are missing information, and that's why we're having this discussion, because we're really trying to figure things out.
Yeah, she's right about the book, but it depends on, because you got to remember there's some books that the way it's translated, so it depends on what book. You have to be you have to be careful, because the way it's been translated and the way it's been written. So you still have to, and who wrote the book. That is very important. What company and things to illustrate. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say this, right? First of all, before we get into Ethiopia and its independence and its free practice of its own version of Christianity, when you go back to the inception of Christianity, it was never meant to be a religion. It was never meant to be written down. It was meant to profess, and it was meant to be a way of life that people inherently follow. In my understanding, if you read the Bible, in the earliest forms of history, according to the Bible, God did not speak through a book. It spoke directly to people. So it's like, well, if that's the case, what happened over time? What seems like what happened over time is people started writing stuff down, and most people were illiterate. And then the Catholic Church happened to the world. And then they became more illiterate, even though they had both. So it's a lot that goes into why people are ignorant of whatever they say they're trying to understand. But at the same time, it's like, well, when it comes to, for instance, religion in the broader sense, outside of, let's say, Ethiopia, Christianity is I don't want to call it a derogatory name, but it's just not it, like, at all. Okay, I know Bibles that were given to African Americans that were not given to any other group, for them to follow based on, keeping them a certain way, and so on and so forth. There's Bibles being printed now that I have never read before. They got books in them that I don't know what's going on, saying weird stuff. And it's even in the Islamic tradition, okay, stuff like that happens. So, like, I don't want to harp on the fact that, for instance, Ethiopia and maybe other nations like Ethiopia have not been colonized, yet they follow Christianity, because let's be honest with you, if they're following a Pauline version of Christianity in any sense of the word, we got a problem. If they are following books that we don't know who wrote it, as you mentioned, Vaughn, we have a problem, and that's what the Ethiopians are doing.
They're not doing that. No. If you say no, they're not. You gotta go when you go into any country. But let's look at Ethiopia. You have different parts of a country that another country may occupy. Like in Germany, you had France, you had Poland, you had Romania. You had these different, in Germany, occupying different land. You also have that in other countries. Now, you may have some part in Ethiopia that was colonized by another country, and they may implement it their part. But we talking about in Alice Abba, where as far as the Ethiopian, their practice, they was not colonized even in religion, because the Romans tried to get them to change, and they said, no, we're not. We're not. Now, you may have other things that outside of that on other parts of Ethiopia, but even across the world, this is how it is. Different countries go in other countries and occupy different land, and with the land that they occupy, they implement their religion, their government, their whatever they have. This is what we have to pay close attention to, because we make a general statement and think, oh, in this part, oh, they practice in this, so that means the whole country. No, it's not. That's not how it is, and that's the reason why Ethiopia has not been colonized, not even when it comes to religion, because they would not follow the Roman Catholic ways and many of the European ways.
Can you say that they don't have their own bullshit out there when it comes to their own bull when it comes to religion? I've heard some things out there in terms of their version of Christianity that I intuitively know, okay, that's a little far-fetched, and even if it was true, who gives you know what? It has nothing to do with Christianity, for real. Like, can we not say that they have their own version of stuff out there that is like just another example of how religion gets lost between people? Like, we're still at the same square one, though. Even if we take away Europe, okay, we're still at the same square one. I can even take it even further into the continent and say, well, okay, let's look at indigenous religion. Like, what is that? Well, essentially, indigenous religion is about rites and practices that commemorate ancestors, commemorate the dead, commemorate harvest. Those things were important to them. So, well, why do we need to commemorate, dead people and the harvest and stuff like that? Like, what's going on? Like, but then when you get into their history, it's just something that's important to them that they ritualize, meaning they continue to do it over and over and over again till now it's become a part of the culture to observe it, even if you don't know what it is, and say this is religion. So it's like we can keep going down the line, but at the end of the day, the purpose of religion, if the purpose of religion is not met, right, we got a problem. Like, I don't care what religion you're talking about. If the purpose of it has not been met, we have a problem. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if all Christians, for instance, just follow Christianity, 50% of crime will go away overnight. If just Christians who said they were Christians actually act like Christians, 50% of crime will be gone.
That's all religion, though. I think
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But see, that's why I said we have a problem. It's like we don't have a problem because people have religion. We have a problem because they don't really follow the religion that they profess.
Would you apply that to what you just tried to do when it comes to example when it comes to people outside the religion?
Yeah, it's the same concept.
It's the same. So you say it applies the same way, right? Not just in religion,
right? Not just in Christianity. No, even if you look at indigenous religions, right? You have people on the continent and even in Asia that practice indigenous religion, but they're warlords and they're out here kidnapping kids, like, and doing all sorts of weird stuff. Like, but they practice indigenous religions. Now, I don't know what part of the religion they practice in, but they're leaving a lot out, whatever. But all I'm saying is the hypocrisy, it goes deep because honestly, we're talking about the religious part of it. But to be honest with you, religion wouldn't exist if not for our own conscience giving it life. So the issue is in us. Like, we need something to keep us from basically being lower than dogs. And we use these books and these rules to say, well, this is how we're going to conduct ourselves so we won't basically be so debaucherous, we'll kill ourselves.
Exactly.
And then don't do that.
Why you keep saying we can't the dog thing? Yo, come on, man.
It's just on my spirit. It's on my spirit. Save the dog.
Hey, being dog is my DNA anyway, so I feel you.
I was just saying, because, truthfully, right, when you look at not all atheists, because atheists are religious too. It's like if you believe something is or is not true, you have a religion, right? But for instance, atheists, when they come to the table of life and they say, well, why am I here, right? They might not have a reason, and that's okay. You don't need a reason You don't need to know why you're someplace to know that you're someplace, right? If you do right because it's beneficial to you, then that's not a bad reason to do right. If you do right because you're just supposed to do it and you understand your position in the cycle of life, that's a good reason to do it. Now, if you're doing bad because you don't really see a problem with it, that, to be honest with you, that's an individual issue. That's
Right.
not a human issue. So we can look at your psyche and tell there's something a little wrong with you, but that goes back to the flawed nature of human beings that are less than animals. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see too many animals suffering from the type of psychosis that humans suffer from. Just in general.
That's because you don't know the thoughts of animals. But I bet you another
Yeah, I'm not
animal might
reading
look
the
at
thoughts.
another animal and say that animal was crazy. Or
No,
something
I'm not
wrong with
reading.
that animal.
I'm not reading the animal thoughts. I'm just looking at the behavior. For
Right, that's what I'm
instance,
saying. I'm saying another animal who knows looking at the behavior and also knows the thoughts, be like, that animal is crazy.
no. Okay, for instance, right? Do you see do you really think that a mouse turns around and wonders why is it that hawks need to eat it?
Yeah.
No, they don't. They don't wonder. Do you know what they do? They live their life. They live their life, and hawks live their life, and that's how they move. That's how they move.
How do you
No,
know?
it's not about how
you don't know the mouses. You just said you don't know animals' thoughts.
No, listen, look at the actions. Look at the actions of animals. They move based on the nature of what they are. They don't move based on their own opinions of whether or not their nature is good or not.
Wait a minute. How do you know? Just because
I know animals don't move based on their own opinions?
You see a mouse go outside and move a certain way of his action. Hold on.
How do I know they don't move based on their own personal opinions?
You're saying, but when you say that when you say that an animal is not thinking this way,
I didn't say they don't think. I'm not making a statement on what they think or what they don't think. What I'm saying is based on their actions, right? They live their life according to how they're supposed to live their life, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's really nothing else. Nothing else.
But do you know? But you don't know their thoughts, right? You don't know that.
It's not about their thoughts. It's like they could have all the thoughts in the world.
Wait a minute. I'm asking you, do you know the animal's thoughts?
Hold on. I just said that I don't. That does not matter. I'm not arguing that point. What I'm saying is animals do not have the problems that humans have. Humans have a psychosis issue. And that psychosis issue leads them into things that destroys them by nature. And we all know what is a thing that destroys itself. We call it a cancer. We call it a virus. We call it something that needs to die. That is what we are to ourselves. We are the only species that has that psychosis there. So this is why I say a lot of times humans struggle to be dogs or a little better than dogs. And we use religion to boost ourselves up so that we won't literally destroy ourselves. I know right now, if I told somebody, listen, what you think of as God doesn't exist, and Jesus is just a man and he doesn't care about you, most people would find it hard not to kill somebody tomorrow because they wouldn't have no reason not to kill them. You know why that is? Because at the end of the day, they're animals, and they're trying to intellectualize why they're here. And so religion is being used as a gateway between human beings and what human beings really are. So it's like at the end of the day, I don't mind human beings having religion. My thing is, we have a problem when you say you're Christian and you're not following Christianity. That's the problem. If you say you are a Sikh, and you're not following the Sikh religion, we have a problem. Because if you're not following the Sikh religion, that usually means you're doing something you ain't got no business doing. You're doing something hurtful to other people. You're doing something hurtful to yourself. You see where this is going? So I don't mind. All religions are okay with me. I can go into any temple, I don't care what religion it is, and participate in the ritual rites and be okay. I don't mind religion. I think religion is good. I think it adds to our culture and our colorfulness, right? But when people are hypocritical and they don't believe in what they're saying they're professing, this is where the problems start. Like, that's where the problem starts. When I say I'm Christian, but I'm going around doing all the sins that I'm going to hell for, other people are affected by that. Now, if I just followed the Bible the way I'm supposed to, do you think I would be in the position I'm in? Other people would be affected? No. This is the problem.
You mind if I say something to add on along to it? See, as I also said before, right? Religion can also be used in a way that's positive, and it could also be in a way as something that's destructive. See, one of the positive things is that, let's just say, like, if you was a preacher / scammer, okay, you could actually build a foundational business for yourself by controlling the minds of other like followers that actually believe in what you tell them to believe, and then you just mask it by your relationship with God, heaven, hell, the devil, right? As you get people to donate, a lot of things are tax-free, and then you can actually, if most people are smart enough, you can actually run other businesses to, to continue generating some like type of income for yourself, right? After, like you scam, like, your members' money and invest it into a business. You can also turn that around and also employ your members, so then they could also work for you, maybe at a minimum wage, and you still pump their head up to say, well, we're doing this because we're still trying to build an establishment for God, and we're trying to reach out to all these people's souls. Okay? Now, of course, again,
and three, you forgot one thing. You do it because God loves you and I love you.
No, wait, Mr. Best, you got that part wrong as well, because here's the thing, right? They don't say God loves you. They say Jesus loves you. Yes, something, for the Bible tells me so. If you also know too, I gotta bring this part up. I'm glad you reminded me on this one. Why there's more praise? Okay, I'm not trying to disrespect a person who I guess like died for their sins for us.
It's too late.
You kind of think about this.
It's too late. Just go ahead. We already here.
But if you think about this, right? It was a duty that Jesus had to do. If he had a choice, right, he would not die for it. He would not die for us, for our sins. You know what I mean? But he did what God wanted him to do, and that's very commendable. But in every church, I'm always hearing people like, yeah, praise the Lord and praise Jesus or whatever. I'm starting to think that could that be a distraction from people to really focus on the true utmost high? Sometimes those thoughts actually do run through my mind, because I'm like, why can't we just give the full praise to God alone and forget about Jesus Christ? But then I know people will say, well, Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, they're all in one, Okay, so if they're all in one, then you can say the Holy Trinity, or you can just say God. And then you're still referencing Jesus, I guess. But I don't know. It was just something like, that kind of came to my mind.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
He's a messenger. It's just like in the movie 300. What did the guy say who was the messenger? He said, my words are what the king's words. So if you do something or say something to me, it's like doing harm to the king. So and right. Jesus Christ is the messenger. But I just think it all goes down to, because I had this problem when I was going to church and all these different churches and baptized in all these different churches, and these people telling me, oh, you're not actually following the right way because you wasn't baptized right. When they baptized you in the Jesus name. I went to another church. They said, well, you should have been baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. I said, oh my goodness, what in the
oh my God. You was in the wrong membership.
Yeah, I was like, what? Then when I was Jehovah's Witness, what they was, wait a minute, hold up. Okay, no problem. Let me go, right? And go and get one-on-one with God. And when I say one-on-one with God, I'm talking about listening to all my brothers and sisters. Because all my brothers and sisters have the knowledge of God or Allah or any name that you call. So this is what God led me to do, to understand. People have their own interpretation, and then they gravitate to that and say, oh, anything outside of that, oh, it's crazy or it's wrong. They do that in religion. They do that in history. they do that even with different parts of the games or mob or things like that. So you have to have that one-on-one conversation with God or whatever deity that you serve. And this is what God has me, because I accept all. If you said, okay, I'm going to accept it, and then I departmentize it to where it needs to go. Instead of sitting there and like saying, oh, you're wrong, or you don't know what you're talking about. Hold on, what do you mean you don't know what you're talking? Do you know how many history books out here, or how many law books, or this, and that? Even when you go to the law, you may know the law, but by the time you get to the judge, they fighting on which interpretation of the law is right, or would better fit of the crime that went on. This is also applies to religion or anything in life.
Hey, Brother Rush, you got anything to say, brother? Anything to say?
Nah, not really, man. I'm just letting y'all bash religions and all that. I mean, I interject when I feel like, I could provide some decent information. I mean,
Got you. Shout out also to Leanne. She said, "Why don't you talk about the fact that Christianity is merely a copy of the latest 5 other pagan religions that preceded Christ?" Ooh, I'm about to get into that because I'm about to read from the Emerald Tablets. Miss Leanne, thank you for saying that, because I'm about to read from the Emerald Tablets. Listen, anybody in that, feel free to come and say whatever you need to say too. All right, the link is pinned in the comments. You can come up and y'all can talk about Christ. You can talk about atheism, whatever you want. The main question is there hypocrisy in all religion? You know what I mean? Lola, go ahead and cook, and I'm going to read my passage. Go ahead.
Okay, so to respond to Leanne's statement about why aren't we talking about the previous 5 pagan religions, okay, first off, the word pagan comes out of the Roman lexicon, and it just means country belief, like the belief that's not sanctioned by the Roman government. That's what pagan means. Christianity, and I mean this in all niceness, Leanne, Christianity was a pagan religion. I hope you know that. It didn't start out as a ruling class of religion. It was a small religion, and it was a pagan religion in every sense of the word. So it was part of the 5 that you're referencing. And that is not to defend any doctrine out here, but that is history, and you can go Google that. Christianity did not start out as this big thing we see it today. It was a small group of people, Jews, that started going rogue, and it was essentially a pagan religion because it went against the Jewish narrative of religion. So, of course, the only thing they knew was their religion, and then suddenly there's this new religion that people are following, and it has something to do with this guy that nobody really knows, and something about baptisms, and people are like, what is that? And it's just this pagan thing, you see, this pagan thing. So let's not dog pagan religion. And by the way, let's assume Christianity is a direct copy of 5 different pagan religions. Are those pagan religions false? Yes or no, Leanne? Are they false? No. We have no evidence of that. When Jesus talks about the virgin birth, we have several religions, pagan religions that have virgin births in them. We have several pagan religions that have births of deities, half man, half God. We have all of that. Like, does that mean that they're false? Because at least in some cultures, they like to call some regions' belief systems religion and others myth. And it's strange because the myths are usually the religions of the darker people, while the religions are the beliefs of the lighter people. And that ties back into the European politics of how to separate the world. At the end of the day, Greco-Roman religion was pagan, okay? Christianity was pagan, and they merged 2 pagan religions together and made one thing that they could, live by. And right now, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm worshiping the god of Saturn, because on Saturday I wake up and I have rituals that I do. Yeah, no, that's not what's happening. But am I going to act like, oh my God, this is pagan? No, listen, it's not that serious. Okay, what we're talking about tonight is hypocrisy. Meaning, if you follow a said religion, we should see that. But if you don't, we should see that. And if we keep seeing this backwards and forwardness, something's got to give, because the world seems like it's literally going to blow up if we don't. We have people who are saying they're Christians with their hand on nuclear weapons, ready to hit the button while going to church that Sunday. That's what we have out here. We have people that are literally dropping drones on people and children and families and getting up and going to barbecues, like from their desks, while they just dropped the drone on like 100 people.
God.
Like that's what we're dealing with out here. So don't say, well, why don't we talk about Christianity and the pagans? Listen, I hope I made it clear to you that Christianity is a pagan religion, and it comes from paganism, and that paganism is not a lie. You just don't understand that paganism. So if you don't understand pagan, quote unquote, religion, or let's say old world religion, and what it truly is about, let's not speak on that. That's not the conversation tonight.
Let me ask this because I asked.
Hold on.
Oh, Big Slap had a question. So
that's what I'm getting to.
And
Leanne said, she did respond. She said, how can something be part of something that it grew out of? All right, so
the same way you arm grew out your body and it's part of you.
Oh wow!
Say that again.
Like, the same way your arm grew out and it's still a part of you. That's how Christianity can grow out of something and still be a part of it. Yeah, it's just like the Nation of Islam. Like that grew out of Orthodox Islam. Is that less of a religion? Is it less true because it had a beginning somewhere? It's a religion. It's used for something. Like that's it. Like that's all it is. It's just a religion. It's nothing else. Like let's not over dramatize religion, because I'm not here to sit and say Christianity is false. Christianity is not false. Animism is not false. You see what I'm saying? There's no religion that's false. It's just the way you understand it and interpret that religion that creates the problem. Like if you're saying that I'm going to hell because I don't pray to a man that told me I can do greater things than him, listen, this is where the problem is, because the said man, okay, i.e. Jesus Christ, did not act like that. That's all I'm saying.
Good. I like that.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Is that Brody back there? I gotta make sure it's him. Brody, that you? That's him. Brody, what's the deal, boy?
What's good? My bad, bro. I'm sitting inside of a fucking loading truck, smoking and shit.
What's the problem? What up, Daryl?
Not much, man. I just wanted to kick with y'all while I was on break, see what y'all was talking about. I literally just joined the conversation, so I don't know the topic or nothing, best.
Yo, it's all good.
We're talking about this destruction that's called religion, but
right.
Yeah.
I like that analogy that Lola came up. That's a good one. I like that was right on.
That was dope.
That was on point. But let me answer this Big Slap again, because last time he was on the panel, I answered this, but I would use
Hold on. Since Darrell's on break and he only has a little bit of time, we're gonna ask Darrell real quick. No, Darrell, is there hypocrisy in all religion? Then we're gonna get the Big Rig Slap. Big Rig, I'm getting to your question right after this, bro.
To answer your question direct, absolutely. There's hypocrisy in all religion. I do think that there is more hypocrisy in Christianity because of how our people move compared to how Arabic men move or Yemenis men move, or any culture that follows the Islam culture is almost, you can see there's more structure in their communities. There's less teen pregnancies, et cetera, at least at the regular level.
Okay.
I don't know those. Those stats, I don't know. So I'm not going to put one religion against the other. But the Big Slaps thing, as far as God, Jesus is God. I answered this last time, so I'm going to answer it another way. Jesus Christ, does he have a God? Yes, the Father. Is he God? Under their God? Yes. And this is an illustration within the Bible. It was 70 people that they picked to be judged. God took the spirit off of Moses that was on Moses. He took that spirit and placed them all on the 70 people, and they became judges like Moses. this what God, the Father, did with Jesus Christ. His Spirit on him, which made him God, and his other gods below him. If you read the Bible, you read Enoch, Jasper, all of that, you will see them. Just like you have many kings, you have many presidents, you have Congress, many congressmen, many senators. It's the same way, because it's even in Jesus Christ's prayer, on earth as it is in heaven. So does Jesus Christ have a God? Yes, but he's a God under, like David said, my Lord said to our Lord, my Lord said to our Lord, come up here and sit at my right hand. He's the messenger. When the messenger speaks, it's what God says. We disrespect the messenger, we disrespect the Father God.
Byron, what I was saying earlier, I mean, saying we don't like to compare religions, but we don't have to like necessarily compare religions. You can just compare the cultures that the religions represent. And when you look at, like, for example, if you come to Detroit, you're going to find more men who are saying they're Christian out here fucking women. You're going to find more women out here saying they're Christian fucking those set men. The Muslims, right, the Islamic people, they move completely different. You're not going to go into Dearborn Heights and just pick a woman up, take her, they get some, coney cheese fries and some a blunt and some Hennessy, you end up smashing. It don't work that way because their culture is completely different. On top of that, they have way more unity. I'm gonna say way more unity. You can have two Christians who absolutely despise each other. They won't even come together for Jesus. But you can have a Sunni and a Shiite who will follow.
Yeah, that's I see your point.
Okay, so Leanne, she responded to Lola, and I guess she responded to Lola. I'm just guessing, right? She said, "But you are putting Christianity before its predecessor." I said, "It copied it, modeled an image of it, and declared an ultimate truth. That is misleading and inaccurate." Okay.
Okay. For the record, I never said when Christianity came into existence prior to or before any other religion. I stated a historical fact, which is Christianity was in fact a pagan religion by all definitions of the word, old world and new world in its inception. That is not me putting it before its predecessors. Okay, like that's not what that is at all. And to say, well, something's misleading. First of all, as much as I might disagree with certain Christian beliefs about how they interpret the Bible, the fact of the matter is the Bible was never meant to be disseminated the way it's being disseminated now. You give the right information to the wrong people, it will lead to what we have today. You give the wrong information to the right people, it will lead to what we have today. Jesus didn't go around writing books. That's not what happened. And honestly, even Moses threw down the tablets and cracked them first and then had to come back. Like knowing, like, come on, like it wasn't meant to be written down. Religion didn't start out as something people got from books. It was something you got passed down from your parents and your grandparents. That's what it was. So again, Christianity was in fact just as much a pagan religion as any other religion. There's no difference in that religion and any other religion. The fact that you can't differentiate that says that you were caught up in the Western sense of putting itself on a pedestal while putting everybody else down. That's what that is. So if you saw Christianity the same way you would see any pagan religion, you wouldn't sit and say, well, it's misleading. Well, you haven't read the Bible the way ancient people understood these terms and these phrases. So you don't know. When we talk about, for instance, some of the rituals that we read about in the Bible, right? We don't understand them. They're not our life. Like we don't understand that we don't understand that world because we didn't come from it. But we see these phrases in the Bible and we just take it as a phrase. But the people back then know what that means. For instance, the word yo. It's a word we all understand, but it's not really written anywhere. But if somebody should start writing that word down in a culture that, like, let's say 6,000 years from now, that doesn't know anything about the word yo, black people, hip hop culture, they're going to interpret what the word yo means, but they'll never know because they're not here. It doesn't mean that what's written is false. It just means you have not understood what's exactly there and what it's talking about. Now, here's the good thing about the religion of Christianity as well as all other pagan religions. You don't have to understand everything in the Bible. You really don't.
Let me interject real quick, and you're absolutely like you right about that, because most pastors they go that go to like school for theology or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like in order for them to understand certain parts of the scriptures, they would have to understand the vernacular. Like for example, right, certain verbiage that they used back then, like you would have to understand the culture, the time frame of it in order to have a full grasp of understanding what each scriptures is explaining. I mean, so I thought that was dope that said that.
That was dope.
I mean,
that was dope. Both of y'all. That was dope. Yes. Yeah, that was dope.
So Rick is asking you again, Von Eric.
Yeah. Man, I'm getting ready to box. Big ribs like me. But yeah, no, I didn't say that, big ribs. I didn't say that the Almighty came down as Jesus Christ. No, that's not what I'm saying. And no, that's not how it goes.
I think it's interesting that he asks that question because inside of one of the most popular Bible verses is the Bible verse where Jesus says that we are gods with an X.
Yes, we are. We
gods. Yes. So to the point of Almighty, it's like, well, listen, can Big Rick, can you change your mind to understand how reality is set up? Meaning that there is the source, and then there's the thing that represents the source that it creates. So its creation is also it in a different form. That's like, can you understand that Jesus didn't just teach, I am the Son of God. Actually, people gave him that name. He said, ye are just as much a God as he is, and you can do that more things than he's done. And he was just a messenger. And we only really got 3 years of the man's message, and he was 33 years old. So it's like, at the end of the day, right? Whether or not you want to say, well, listen, this is not God or this is God, the message isn't who is God. That's not the message. Jesus, it doesn't matter who you think is God. Jesus said, treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated. He didn't say treat them that way if they believe that something called God is the same as you, that neither one of y'all will ever really be able to know. Like, he didn't say that. And actually, even if he did say that, are you following that? Like, that's what I'm saying. In this conversation, we try and figure out this hypocrisy. Because right now, some Christians, some people of religion that follow religion are following it in practice, and some are not. And here's the problem. We all have to move as a unit if we're going to move forward. We're not moving forward. We're moving backwards, in fact. Like, because we're not moving as a unit. Everybody else out here just doing whatever they really want to do, and it's causing a problem. And now when we see hypocritical things coming from religious leaders, now that changes our whole perception as a society about said religion, when in fact it's not the religion, it's us that got a genetic defect. Like, really.
I like what Quantum just said. That was very powerful. Yes, that illustration and analogy is, yes, absolutely correct right there. Yeah, and what you go ahead. I'm sorry, Lord.
Oh no, I was
Leanne said something else. She said the emergence of the dogma of Christianity is the only action point that you can factually claim as truth. Okay.
Say that.
Say that again. But the emergence of the dogma of Christianity is the only action point that you can actually claim as truth.
I'm not claiming what is truth and what is not. I don't believe that the Pauline doctrine is Christianity. Personally, I don't believe that. However, Paul is the only one that actually described God, but his doctrine is not part of Christianity. But I will give him that he is the only one that actually described God in the entire length of the Bible the way I understand God. Like, he's the only one. But I can also say his writings is not a part of the Bible. Like, it's not a part of Jesus' teaching. Like, it's not a part of Jewish religion. Like, I know that. It's clear when you read the book, like, you know, with any sense. But it's like, I'm not trying to make Christianity anything that it's not. And I think that what you're doing is you're trying to pin the conversation to blame Christianity for being false. While my point to you is stop worrying about whether or not Christianity is false or not. If you don't vibe with Christianity, Jesus didn't say you had to. That's not what it is. And here's the thing. Even if you don't give a fuck about what Jesus said, you don't have to vibe with that. It's thousands of religions out here that you can vibe with. Like I said in the beginning of the broadcast, I go to all sorts of temples, all sorts. I'm inside of all sorts of religions. Like if you come in my house, you would know that. Like, I'm sitting next to my ancestral shrine now. Like, people know that about me. It doesn't matter what religion you are a part of. Like, period. It's about you, not about whether or not it's true or not. Because I'm gonna be honest with you. Let's suppose everything in the Bible is fiction. How does that change how you're supposed to live your life? Every story in it is fiction. It's only a parable. Oh, the whole Bible is a parable. Now what? How does that change what you're supposed to do? How does it change your life? It really doesn't. So it's like, I'm not as concerned about Christianity being no more true than I am about, you know, the Nomo being true in West Africa.
Amen to what Brother Clarence just said about religion. Hold
on, I'm gonna get to that, Vaughn. Hold on, I'm gonna get to that. Also, I want to say, Sister Leanne, since I see you say a lot in the comments, and I appreciate all your commentary in the comments, Sister Leanne. Thank you for everything that you're putting in. Salute to you. And if you would like to come up, the link is pinned in the chat. All right?
Come on up.
Come on up, sister. Come on up. Come on up. You know what I mean?
Come on down, like they say on The Price is Right. Come on down.
It also says with any information that you receive, one must look at the source. Okay. She also says, in a true and documented source of the ruling class moving hand in hand with the missions of the time to create an external means to control and punish the working class. Okay. Lola, go ahead if you would like to.
I'm gonna let Lola take care of that because she I'm gonna let her take care of that. But Brother Clarence was right on what you said. But yeah, go ahead, Lola. Do you?
The ruling class has used music, an authentic expression of humanity, to control the masses. What does that have to do with whether or not a religion is teaching you how to be a better person? If Christianity is helping you be a better person, if Christianity got you off of Heron, continue to follow Christianity. That's where you're supposed to be. That's the beauty of spirituality. It can come through any religion it feels the need to. And honestly, Leanne, I think you spend too much time worried about that. There's more better things to worry about than whether or not Christianity is right or not. Like, it's no more right than Islam. It's no more right than Judaism. It's no more right than the Orisha tradition. It's no more right than Budun. It's no more right than Palo, Ocha, none of them. Like, it's no more right than anybody. Okay? Like, really, it's no more right than any of them. All right?
Hey, guys, real quick, I have to bounce.
But where you going at, man? What you talking about? What you got? Eating something?
Yep. It's dinner time, man.
You can eat, still participate in the conversation. What's wrong?
I'm gonna be in the chat, man. I'm gonna be in the chat supporting everyone. Okay,
just cut the light off. We don't gotta see you chew. Just cut the light off.
I'm good though. But it was a very fun and interesting conversation about religion. I mean, I can't really be up here too long talking about religion for so much, man. You know, but. It was good. It was fun, man. So,
I got you.
Yeah. So, salute to you, Von, Eric, Bess. Thank you very much, Lola. I'll see you another time. So,
yeah.
Good to see you up here. All right, everybody, take care.
We got Leanne up here. Okay, you can go. We got Leanne up here.
Oh, that's what come up though. Hey, but Leanne, salute to you though. All right, everybody, take care.
All right, my brother.
Good night, brother. Okay, so I'm gonna read Bro Clarence' comment real quick, and then I'm gonna let Leanne build on what she has to say. Bro Clarence says, the best religion is to do unto others as you will do to them. To you, the most honorable, Elijah Muhammad said that. Okay. Salute to Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, Sister Leanne, I'm glad that you're up here. You can build on any of your commentary that you put in the chat. We're definitely here for it. So yeah, definitely go right on ahead. The floor is yours. We can't hear her.
I think you muted, Miss Leanne. We can't hear you. Oh, yeah, I think her mic's something wrong with her mic. You might have to come back in.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure she'll be back in. So Victor Freeze, you know what I mean? Salute to him. Also salute to Lady Novea. I see you in the building. Salute. You know,
what's
Victor
up,
Freeze.
Lady Novea? Hey, how you doing?
What's going on?
That's the queen right there. That's the queen.
Yeah, Lady Novea is dope, man. So, salute the. Vic Freeze says Daniel 10:6. His body also was like the barrel, and his face is the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass. Okay.
When it says that, okay, Victor, you came with the.
Okay, do I have a mic yet?
Yes, you do. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I am new to this, so I don't have the technology down.
No problem.
The point isn't the debate of whether somebody chooses to believe in Christianity or not into Christianity. The reality is that people's beliefs in Christianity affects the world and the lives of those of us who don't adhere to the same belief system. And so as such, those of us who don't adhere to that belief system are interested in its ability to assert control over the way we move in our lives now in modern time. And that brings you back to how did this particular thought process take hold and get to dig into the way societies function.
Give me an example.
Sense?
Give me an example.
Give me an example?
Yeah.
Well, Roe v. Wade. I mean, we could talk about all of the ways that religion is asserted through our government and those who happen to follow one type of religion as opposed to another, and how those belief systems are deeply ingrained in the society that we live in.
How is religion ingrained in the laws the federal laws that pertain to abortion?
Let's see. Well, women weren't given the right to vote until 1970. Well, no, not 1970. Women weren't allowed to have their own bank accounts because they were under the government of their husbands until 1976. These are religious principles. These things exist.
I didn't ask about that. I asked, how is religion interwoven in the laws, the federal laws, as it pertains to abortion rights? I'm not talking about anything else but religion and abortion. Can you tie those two concepts together for me? For example.
Can I tie that? They're there. I mean, it's not. I'm not even sure how the question is phrased.
Tie them together there if they're there. Help me out.
It's some people's belief in regards to when life starts and what's sacred and what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do. I mean, these are religious beliefs.
Do you know that every religion, every culture has a belief about when life starts and when life doesn't start?
Mm-hmm. But they're not prevalent in the laws that are being made in the countries that we live in.
They're not prevalent in the U.S. laws, but they are prevalent in the laws in their country, in those cultures.
Okay.
That's a natural right that every culture has to enforce its own belief on when life starts and when it doesn't start. That's a natural right that a culture has. And when
culture isn't government.
Cultures, that's where we out of line. If I want to believe life starts when the baby pops out, I have a natural right to believe that. There's nothing you can do to force me to believe.
Absolutely. As an individual, I 100% stand behind that.
Okay, so how is religion, not belief, religion interwoven in between the federal law of pertaining to abortion here in the United States?
Because it's the Christian belief that life begins at conception that is influencing the law.
You think it's Christian belief?
Right.
That's what you think?
Yes.
But she's still, and I see what Lola is getting to. She's saying with the laws that we have and that what you're talking about, how do you know that they came up with those laws due a religion or faith? Like she just described as far as nature.
No, okay. All right.
says,
I get the nature of the question that you're talking about, because this is the thing. This is the perversion of the religious belief that is taking place. This is really a government belief in order to control the population and get them to do the things that you want to do and to keep the others present in the dynamic that takes place between the peoples in this country. There's always got to be an other. There's always got to be somebody doing something that is not in line with the masses that needs to be stomped out.
In your belief, was abortion taking place before the U.S. became a government?
Yes.
Okay, so do you think that those abortions being taken place all over the world, were they being taken place because of Christianity or because people just couldn't afford kids?
Well, it wasn't a matter of afford. They couldn't feed them, but
so that's not a matter.
But we're not talking about the permission of it. We're talking about the outlawing of it and the punishment of it, and the audacity to imply that death is a possible outcome to violating that law.
Let me
talk about hypocrisy.
Let me bring it back for you. Before the U.S. was a country, before it was a thing, before it had rights, when people were getting abortion, this is prior to the U.S. inception. Were they getting abortions because of their religious stronghold, or were they getting abortions because they probably couldn't feed their kids? Which one, in your belief?
They were getting it because whatever somebody decides, that they got it most likely because they couldn't afford the kid. They couldn't take care of the child. But once again, you're doing what you did with the difference between pagan and Christianity, and you're putting the cart before the horse and saying, is this the driving factor or not the driving factor, when it's very clearly documented what the driving factor is of most of the pro-life agenda in the United States as it stands is behind a religious agenda. It is the church that is feeding that to the people, telling them it's the right thing to do, and that is the non-Christian thing it's against Christ to have the abortion. That is the stronghold of the people that are advocating for it.
Okay, I didn't ask you that question. I asked you, how is religion moving in between the federal government here in the United States policy on abortion? You have not articulated that. You said, oh, it's there. And when I asked you about, well, are people getting abortions because of religious institutions that say they should or should not? You're saying, no, it's because they can't afford to feed their children, which is not a religious issue. And it's like, at the end of the day, the government's role is to protect life, liberty, and property in that order. And if the government does not regulate healthcare, you're going to have a bigger problem than abortion. So the government is doing what it's supposed to do, and it's not acting as a religious institution as it pertains to abortion. Everyone has a right to believe what they want to believe about abortion. That's part of our Constitution here in America. That is interwoven in between the laws right there. You can believe what you want to believe about when life starts. In my culture, where my mother and father are from, life starts when you choose your parents, before the inception of sperm and egg. Now, okay, that's some extreme stuff right there. I get you there, but again, this is their belief. So it's like people have a right to believe when life starts and when life doesn't start, whether it's for religion or not. They have a right to that, and this is why I don't debate certain things when it comes to religion. However, the idea that the government is pushing religion when it comes to abortion, even though the government is on some shit most of the time, you can't blame the government for that.
It's not making the point by approaching it from the back end, is what I'm trying to say. You can't turn around and say that the government, we're talking about the prohibition of something, not the permission of wanting it.
If a Christian community does not want to practice abortion, for instance, the right for the states to assume that role has just been enacted as of this year. If a Christian community does not want to have abortion clinics in their community, they have a natural right not to have and do so. They do. If a Muslim community does not want to have abortion clinics in their communities, or some, I don't know, that's their natural right to do so if they want to do that. This is not about, really, it's not about their religion. They have a right to whatever they're doing. They do. So it's like, and the government's position is to facilitate that. So when I asked you, where is the government saying, because of Ephesians so and so and so and so, you have to get an abortion, or you can get an abortion? Like, how is religion interwoven into the federal law code, not the state, but the federal law code as it pertains to abortion? Saying to me, oh, it's there, that's just a way of you saying, well, I don't really know, but if you Google it hard enough, you might find it.
But you're not saying that. It's like you're changing the debate by changing the angle to which you are approaching it. The argument is not whether or not the right to abortion is being sanctioned by the government. It is the influence of religion on the government that is prohibiting it. And that is happening.
But yeah, that's what she said. She's saying this what Nola is saying. She said, where can you say that they went into the Bible or they went into any religious book and came up with a law? She said they did not. She said it's nature or them as a man outside and came up with these laws. They didn't go and say, oh, let me look into Deuteronomy and say, oh, you should not do abortions or you should not do this. I see what you're saying. You're saying by the government was established due to the majority of the people on a Christianity faith. Okay, but
actually it wasn't. Our government wasn't established on the faith of Christianity. Our government was established on the right to have religion, freedom of religion, and freedom from religion. Okay, and that's where it gets confused. And our government is influenced because the bulk of the people that are representing us within our government are doing so following their Christian faith. And they are asserting their beliefs based on their faith on everyone else that doesn't necessarily share that belief.
I think. Go ahead. No, I don't see. Matter of fact, let's be honest. You may say that about the right because how strong they say their faith is, but not the left. Not the left. If you really want to get into the details of the politics, no. Not the left. Who changed it? The right. They're doing as you said as far as practicing and doing things, but then you could look at our government and see things that may fit a lot in Islam or the Jewish,
you got a bit left, bro.
Huh? Or outside
you're gonna be
actually the Jewish religion has no issue
Islam
with abortion.
And correlating that with the U.S. government. I mean, what are you talking about?
I said you can look within those laws and see things in there that Islam may look at.
Somebody needs to meet them, right?
So it's not, if you're saying religion, which religion you talk about, because you have different people on Capitol Hill that follow different religions.
But the bulk of the people representing us are Christian.
As in the bulk of the people in America are Christian. What's wrong with it?
But they don't but like you said, Lord, we trying to find out where they, because even Bush said everything I don't do, he said some things it may influence due to my faith. He said some. So where is it that we can go into the law, like she says, and say, you know what? We did this because of my faith in Christianity, or my faith in Islam, or my faith in the religion. Remember, the United States is a religion within itself, without an entity.
No, it's not. Can you explain to me how the United States of America is a religion?
Because what she just said, they practice. They let you go. They let you practice and do all religion. It's not based on one religion.
What you said
is a religion.
Wait, just pull back for a second, bro. Pull out. Like, what you said was the United States is a religion. Period. That's what you just said, right?
I said you can look at United
Wait,
States.
hold. That's what you just said. You just said
yes.
You could
go with that. Yes, you could.
All right, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's an understanding that I've gained. I've learned something today.
Okay.
New day, new breakfast. Okay. So, how is the United States of America a religion? Period.
I just told you what Leanne just said. How it was established.
I'm sorry. Like, from my understanding, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people in your country, and I'm not from your country, and I understand that. I'm an outsider. I'm an outlier. Well, I can visit, and I can visit frequently, but there are people from everywhere in your country, and the way you're talking, bro, is like you're insular. It's like you have no real understanding of what you're even around, and that's problematic.
So, talking to someone that does not live in the United States.
Yes.
You're going to say, but you don't even live in the United States.
You see what you just done there? You turn it around. I have this conversation with people all day long. You're going, oh yeah. So now you just shown me your insecurities.
No,
that is real problematic. If the conversation was reversed, hold it for a second, bro. If the conversation was reversed, I'll be welcoming you. If you was like, yo, I want to come over to the UK, what blah blah blah, I wouldn't turn around to go, oh, you've never been here before. That's just idiotic. On a global scale, that's not how economics work.
Simon, you just contradict yourself. You said you don't know anything because you're not there. You're out.
Yeah, I'll be there in a sec. Sorry.
But then you're going to say, I don't understand. But with a person that lives in the United States, that studies, that went to school for history, but you're going to say, I don't understand. And you just said you have not. As far as you don't live in the United States. There's a lot that you don't know because you don't live here. You don't live in a culture or anything. But then you're going to say, I don't understand, who have lived and been raised in the culture. That's like going to your country and tell you, you know what? You don't even understand your country. What?
No, I think you're
contradiction.
No, what you're doing is you're extrapolating. Which means like you're being a bit of an extremist like Donald Trump or some shit like that. Like you want to turn around and go, okay, just because this nigga has never been like living over here, he don't really understand what's going on. That's not the case. That's not what I said. What I was saying is like I was just trying to make a point of actually being appreciative of the fact that you are a United States citizen and I'm just having an opinion on the panel. That's what I was doing. Okay, so it wasn't. I wasn't trying to be rude. I wasn't trying to be sort of like detracting or anything like that. I'm just saying you have to take another opinion sometimes, and if you can't do that, then what does that make you? It makes you.
Only thing I was just trying to get when you said I don't understand. So I'm saying, wait a minute. What you have just said, and then you're going to say I don't understand. That look what you're saying.
It's not that complicated, bro. I was just
okay.
Look.
Okay.
Well, I was just saying, like.
Go ahead, Leanne. Leanne, go. You and I don't want to disturb you and Lola. Go ahead and finish our conversation.
I'm not sure where we're at in this conversation at this point.
I'm just trying to get your full understanding when you saying as far as the people are being influenced by their religion. Oh, which religion? If you say
a lot of religions are going to influence people.
Okay, so if you're saying let's go Christianity, everybody follow different sectors within Christianity, right?
Yes.
Okay. So is there laws in there that was put in there by someone that wasn't a Christian?
Yeah.
It's atheists. It's atheists that's in Congress and in senators too, right? That come up.
Like 2.
Okay, they have. But what about before in history? Everyone wasn't a Christian.
No, there were Quakers and
right. So
and atheists, agnostics more than atheists probably.
Exactly, and they also came up with laws. Correct.
You're diverging. You're skirting the point.
Okay, what's the point I'm missing? What's the point?
You cannot pretend like there is not a specific correlated influence between the religion, specifically the religious right, and the laws that are being put forth in this country.
Okay.
I just went to an event 2 months ago. There were 300 plus laws being written and looking to be passed that are to restrict access of transgendered / drag queens, whatever, heterosexuals in various portions, restrict their movement as citizens in the country. And within 2 months, that number has gone over to 800 different bills that are being put forth. You telling me that's not coming from a religious standpoint?
Oh, I see.
No, hold on. It's not coming from a religious standpoint. I know whole homosexual men that don't believe that what that community is doing is right. Okay?
I know whole homosexual men that do believe it's right. So what's the difference?
Because I let you talk. I didn't interrupt you. Some people that do not believe in some of what you were talking about are not Christian. Some of them that don't believe in that are of that community. Okay, so it is not a religious thing. When we ask you to clearly state when and how or where religion is being referenced. Okay? The only thing you're telling us is the majority of people in the United States are Christian, and they're using their Christian minds to come up with rules as if they're supposed to use their non-Christian minds that they don't have. Like, we're not asking citizens to act like they don't have their own personal religions that might influence a decision that they make or something like that. We're asking them to make decisions based on keeping the country safe, based on keeping the country afloat financially, okay? Like, that's what we're asking our representatives to do. So what if your representative is Muslim and you are a Christian? So what? At the end of the day, you can vote. They're your representative. This is business at the end of the day out here. So don't sit and say, oh, because the majority of them are Christian, that means they're passing Christian laws. You can't even cite one. But at the end of the day, if you go to Saudi Arabia, into Kuwait, they tell you straight off the bat, this is Sharia here. Meaning they will cite the Quran and the Hadith in terms of their federal law code for how you will conduct yourself when you come to their country. And you know what? They have a natural right to do that. They do. Just as the United States has a natural right for their country to be mostly Christians, which it is, and to some to be different, and for all of those religions to play a part inside of the thinking of the people. You know why? Because they represent the thinking of the people. You're not going to blame people for being Christian or any other religion and saying they're not supposed to spread their religion. Meanwhile, you're spreading your idea of something that's contrary to that. It's like, no, that's not how this goes. If your people is enough to vote against whatever's happening, then sure, get most of your people on board. That's how we do things here. We vote and the majority wins. That's what it is. If you don't agree with that, move to Kuwait. How about that?
I think that
move to Kuwait.
Wow.
What's so opulent about Kuwait?
Go ahead again. I'm sorry.
They don't have a democratic process like here, and some people would rather it not be a democratic process based on majority rules so that their agenda can be established. Go to a country where they don't have that process, like Kuwait. Go to some of those countries like that, like Afghanistan. Go to those countries like that. Yeah, I think you have.
That's a really bad message.
Go there. Yeah, and here's the thing: in America, it's written into our law code that you can pick up and leave and do whatever you want to do for whatever reason.
Go
wait,
ahead,
that's always the end answer.
Go ahead, Elaine. You had to be. But I just want to say this. Leanne, do you think, right, I understand what you're saying as far as, because you're not just saying Christianity, you're saying just religion as a whole, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's just say, do you feel the same way as far as the way you're thinking? Like, because Lola did pick up on this. What about what you believe in?
My belief is that everybody has a right to do what they need to be doing as far as that is concerned.
So,
and by
that's-
creating laws that prohibit access and criminalize the people seeking access based on some people's beliefs, not a belief of simply right and wrong.
Right.
It's a belief that they are using their religious beliefs to motivate.
Okay. But what about what you believe in? That's a religion within itself.
By not restricting it or criminalizing it, gives everybody the option to not do it just as easily as somebody wants to do it.
But you still will have to, if that's the case, you say let the law should be everybody just do whatever they want to do, correct?
In that specific instance, yes.
Yeah. Now you see how people play both ends from the middle with that. Yeah, as long as it's on my side, yeah, let it all hang out. But if it's on another side that I'm not on, oh no, let's restrict their side. This is what I'm saying.
Who are they protecting? Who are they protecting?
We're kind of hip to the way certain people think in this country, in America, and I'm not even going to stretch it out to Europe, okay, for a specific reason to be respectful. But we're pretty much hip to the way certain people here think. And the country no longer moves like that. But again, if you don't like something, right, we have a fair process. It's called voting. And if your team got more people and they vote, that's the way voting goes. But here's the thing: when laws were instilled based on that, and you know the majority rule for that community, I didn't see people like you complaining. But now that majority rules is shifting because there's a different majority, not based on religion. Okay, now you guys are complaining. Here's the thing: stop complaining. Just be a part of the process or leave. Like, that's really all that we can say to you. This conversation
okay,
is
at what
about
point did I get to the point of complaining other than
not
pointing
about
out
going
that
into politics. That. Hold on.
If you don't like it, go kind of scenario. It doesn't solve anything.
Like that. That's not hypocrisy. People being Christian and being elected officials is not hypocrisy in Christian religion. And that's what we're here talking about. So I think when you're saying other people are derailing the conversation, that's exactly what you're doing. We're not here to tell anyone you shouldn't be an elected official if you have a religion. That is not what we're saying here, okay? We're saying that if you are Christian, if you're Muslim, if you are Hindu, whatever you are, you should act like that in full so that we can clearly mark you as what you're saying you are. When we cannot clearly mark you, this is where the problems are. And before you came on, we gave several examples of where this is a problem, and it starts affecting other people negatively when people profess to be Christian, but then they act like they don't think God exists, and they start doing things to children and killing people and stealing and a whole bunch of other ratchetness. And yet they're claiming to be Christian with the banner of Christianity in Christ. This is the problem, okay? But this is what we're talking about. We're not demonizing anyone for any being of any particular religion here. And I'm not Christian, okay? I am far from Christian. All right, very far from Christianity. Okay, I'm not even going to say how far. But one thing I'm not is far from the truth. And the truth is, Christians are not wrong for being Christians. Their religion is not a lie, no more than any other religion. And they have a right to be elected officials in their country where they are the majority. And laws should reflect their culture. The problem is when it doesn't reflect their culture and we got people doing any and everything they want to do.
That's what the hypocrisy That's what you talk about as far as the hypocrisy coming.
Yeah.
Okay. So you saying the people that does those religions on, regardless, they may put in laws, but they hypocritical to those laws because they don't follow the law. I got you.
Yeah.
That don't really make much sense though, because law is law. You can't really change law.
Hold on, Simon. Hold on. Gotta welcome Queen to the panel. Queen. You have anything here?
I'm here. What's up, Lola? Yo, I'm gonna say this. Look, back off my religion, okay? Yeah, both of y'all pipe down. I'm gonna pray for all of y'all, okay? I'm gonna say a prayer for all y'all because all y'all need deliverance. And on that note, I'm gonna be quiet.
I guess you didn't keep yourself in it. You just out of prayer. What about prayer? You out of the prayer or you in the prayer too?
I'm a prayer. We all need prayer. Don't play yourself. I need prayer too. Hey, Big Rigs, wherever you at, don't play yourself. I said it on it. Okay, cool. What's up, Vaughn? No, I'm just listening with y'all. I'm just listening. Just came on to support. I'll jump in later. I'm just, giving y'all a little hard time because, when you talk about religion, it gets heated. You know what I'm saying? So,
No, well, I see what Lola's saying. I think we did stray away from the core of the show as far as the hypocrisy in religion or religion. Matter of fact, that's what it says. And yeah, I think we did stray from off the core argument of the segment.
There's no hypocrisy in religion. I think people just try to deviate because they're lazy. They don't really want to sort of cooperate with things. It's kind of interesting as political sort of stances shift, and we have to like adjust, and that's where I think religion becomes a problem, because everyone has a core religion. I see you back, Queen. Everyone has like their core objectives, but as times shift, like say some shit goes down, pardon my language, and your rent goes up like by 25%, suddenly religion means something different because it's affecting you directly, where previously to that you may have been in the church singing hallelujah. So people just try their best. I think I don't think people are bad innately. I think people just try their best.
Wait, Simon just made a genius point. All right,
Yep.
and look. I'm gonna have to tape this because Simon, this is new.
Yeah,
Simon,
that was
okay.
that was going.
I knew he had it. I knew he had it.
Now Simon says. Now that's the Simon says. Now
Oh Lord God,
Simon
really
says.
Hold on, Simon.
don't put me in the spotlight, man. I like my little listeners. I like that.
Something profound. You said something profound, Simon, and I can't deviate from it. So the real question is: does circumstance make people hypocritical about what they believe?
Mm-hmm.
Circumstances changing, rent going up, you know what I mean? Relationships. Do these things now make people become hypocrites in what they say they believe?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, you're talking about? Wait a minute. So can you go a little bit detail into that question? Are you saying it depends on where the
Like you just said, like you were singing in the church, everything was cool when your rent was, it was a certain amount. Everything was cool. You know what I mean? When everything was good between you and your spouse, or you and your moms, or your dad, or whoever. But now there's some turmoil, right? Now, are you still holding on to that faith? Or now that's where the hypocrisy comes. Now you're willing to curse God and you're willing to curse everything you believe in because now circumstances have changed what you thought was the truth.
Yeah, I do see that, and I do see a lot of the hypocrisy.
I don't think it's hypocrisy.
You don't?
No. I don't think it's hypocrisy when you face a tough time and your faith is put to the test. I think that's just called life and trial. It's like if you're in a relationship, someone's unfaithful to you, do you doubt everything? You know what I mean? Like I just don't think it's that.
But do you think?
I believe that it can make your faith in something stronger.
Okay,
That's what I believe.
Do you think that, like when you do those trials and tribulations, it may be something that you did that is against the religion that you practice? Would that be a hypocrisy?
Yes.
Okay. Is that what you're saying, Soapbox? Or
No, I think they were talking about when you hit rough times and you start.
Yeah, you hit rough times as well. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying,
we all go through, whether it's religion or not, we all go through.
Right. I know that
some people handle different things differently.
Right.
Everybody
I got that. Right,
you
I got that.
You doubt. If the bus is late, you doubt that it's coming on time. It's gonna come. You know what I mean? Like,
But we talking about what I'm saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Soapbox. I'm saying is, when you do go through those hard times, that happens to everybody. But when those hard times become such a heavy burden on you that you did something against your religion, would that be hypocrisy?
Yeah.
No, because here's the thing: people who are in their religion believe that certain hard times are not supposed to affect them. They believe some people believe that they're not going to face anything, or they're not going to face certain things that other people face. I've heard people say this.
Yeah, I heard people say that too. But listen to what I'm saying. I heard people say that too. But it's times that people they do end up doing something against their religion. Is it hypocrisy?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I
If
wanted
you
to know.
blatantly go
Yo.
left and you're supposed to be going right, yes.
Okay, I got it. I was just checking to make sure that I got the hypocrisy thing. But I understand as far as what y'all saying, that hard times come and things like that.
I think the hypocrisy in the hard times conversation is when someone attributes blessings or things that go right in their life to being blessed by God, or being highly favored by God, or being highly favored by the gods. Okay, that's one thing, right? When you attribute that to your whoever you pray to, right? But then when you come across hard times, suddenly you're questioning, does God exist? Is it really a God? Like, what's going on? Like, that right there is hypocrisy, because you can't have, as the Bible say, a double-minded man is a problem. Okay, like, you can't be believing that God is giving you blessings, but if something goes wrong, God doesn't exist. Like those two things don't go together. So that's what I think we were talking about. Well, the hypocrisy, because when everything's going right, you don't question the meaning of life and why you're here. You're happy that shit is going good. But when shit is going bad, that's when you in the depths of your mind wondering, like, are you alone? What's going on? Or do you feel anything? Are you getting met? Like this is where you get into that. But it's like, if you believe in the Bible clearly tells you that God is the author of good and evil, blessings and curses. And it said that it cursed people and it blessed some people and all of that. It causes life and death. You can't be a part of the Christian belief or the Jewish belief or the Islamic belief or the Abrahamic faith, and any faith, honestly, and only understand it from one angle. Like, you can't do that, because you're purposely diluting yourself. Like, it's not even the book anymore. And this is the problem that I have when people say, well, Christianity is a lie. It's like, no, if you live by the tenets of Christianity, you all right. Like, it's when you're not living by those tenets that you're not all right. It's when you're not living by the tenets of, let's say, any spiritual system, but you're claiming that spiritual system, that you are not okay. Your life is not okay. Your mindset is not okay. Like, period. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we are hypocrites. Everybody does something hypocritical, but let's just be honest about it. Like, yeah, that's hypocritical. In my case, I mean, I don't subscribe to any particular religion, but even with that, there is a certain level of hypocrisy even within myself. I mean, it just is, because we're human. But it's like, let's not act like that hypocrisy, there's not levels to this. Like, I can be hypocritical in my personal life and it not affect anyone. Or I can be hypocritical as a president and hurt everybody.
Wait, Lola, you're saying that you have that there are things about you that are hypocritical?
Yeah, I have paradoxes. I have things about me that's hypocritical personally. There's certain beliefs that I have that probably goes against each other, but the reason why I have those beliefs, and I will say they're beliefs, they're not facts, they're beliefs, is because I don't have any evidence to the contrary on both sides. So I hold both beliefs, and I'll hold both until one manifests itself more than the other. But people would say that's hypocrisy, and technically by definition it would be. But my thing is, it's nothing wrong with that. It's like, if I don't know a thing, I don't know a thing. If I got two beliefs and I don't know which one is more factual than the other, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, nobody's going to hell because of that. Like,
there's
seriously.
something wrong with it. There's something wrong with it. There's something innately wrong with it, because it affects people's lives.
Like, no. So I'm talking about personal beliefs that don't affect anybody.
Yeah, it's a personal belief. I understand what you're talking about. I'm just saying it affects people's lives. You may not actually sort of think about it, and it may not affect you, where it does affect other people's lives. Like, it's an innate thing. And we need to be very, very careful about how we just rock in this world, because everything you do, especially if you're an intelligent person, or if you're, you've got some space, or you're affecting other people's, rooms or personalities, if you've got a job, or you're a manager, or you're in corporate, or whatever it may be, you have an innate responsibility in terms of your actions. So you can't say that it does not affect other people. Like it affects your children.
I'm not saying things doesn't. What I'm saying is there's levels to it. There's levels to certain actions that affect other people that just affect myself, and then actions that don't affect anything. It's just a hypocrisy within.
I'll tell you, it affects everything. Like when you're saying there's levels, I'm thinking tiers. Okay, so if there's levels, then obviously it depends on what kind of person is around you. Meaning that could be an adult, like a middle-aged person, or a child. Okay, and your reactions to things will mean something, and I think innately you understand that. You're not, disingenuous. I think you do understand that,
I think agree to disagree that everything that you believe that may be hypocritical does affect everybody. For instance, when it comes to like deceased people, I don't talk when I come into rooms with deceased people because of my own personal belief. Now, I also have a belief that the dead are not dead. Seriously, like those two things are both things I believe. However, are you telling me that my personal belief when I go to a funeral home is affecting you negatively, Simon?
Yo,
Yes or no? No, it's not. And that's what I mean. That's a hypocrisy within myself, but that one doesn't affect you. But let's suppose I was the president of your country and I was making decisions that were hypocritical based on the law code. Now that would probably affect you. But again, there's levels to it. And I can agree that, some do affect other people. But at the end of the day, there's levels to it. And I think we all have to admit that we are imperfect beings and all of us have hypocrisy with us. Every last one of us.
Yeah, but wait, bro. Just for a second. That's why I think it's very important about how black women in particular and white women overall are very careful about how they speak about things. If they're in a position to actually do something for the rest of the community. So, like what you're speaking on is very interesting. But then there's nuances within that which will like make for a leader think,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. And you don't really want to cause that. It's like scrambled eggs. You don't want to, it's like, if I'm about to cook something, I want it to come out in a certain type of way. So it's like, we all know what you're capable of, and we've seen this over and over again on these panels in terms of people. So we just need to be a bit more delicate in terms of our thought process, in terms of how we're spilling out the beans, because the fact of the matter is, we're the next leaders in most cases, whether it's you or your child. That's what we're aiming for, right? Or why are we having these conversations in the first place? So the hypocrisy is the fact that we cannot actually acknowledge the hypocrisy within ourselves to like get beyond the fact and like be like humble enough to just pull back sometimes when someone who is more knowledgeable about what we're doing tells us to pull back.
But she admitted it as far as her hypocrisy goes, Simon.
Mm-hmm.
She admitted it. Then she gave an example when it came to the levels, which I thought was, man, I didn't even think about that. But especially when you said about becoming a leader, you could have a standard, but when you put it within the law, you became a hypocrisy. It became a hypocrite because of the standard that you go by, correct? Before you get into office. Is that right, Lola?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, and
so
some of
So just a case, like Leanne was talking about how she is, as far as, how she look at things, as far as let's look at it as far as laws passing in government terms. That means sooner or later it's going to be things that what she believes in, and she will become a hypocrisy to her, even to her own belief, because it could be something throughout her way of life that she may feel that she may need to do this instead of doing what she believes, right?
She ain't single.
Is that right, Lola, or no? Or I'm wrong?
Well, yes, but see, at the same time, I mean, I think it was pretty obvious that if you have a group of people that say, well, you know, we're being unfairly treated because of someone's religion, right? It's hypocritical to blame their religion, right? Instead of proving that that religion is at the core of what's going on versus just blaming the religion because the person that made the law just so happens to be Catholic. Like, this is hypocritical because when they turn around and make those assumptions about those people, now you see the hypocrisy is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's like, listen, somebody has to, as Simon said, pull back. Somebody got to pull back. And I think, honestly, that somebody is probably everybody. And, I mean, I get it. Everybody wants to do what they want to do. But here's the problem. You are not the only thing that matters. Your race is not the only one that matters. Your ethnic group is not the only one that matters. Your sexuality isn't the only thing that matters. It really isn't. So it's like everybody wants what they want and nobody wants to give on that. I get that. But everybody will give on something. The Catholics, they gave on a few things. They don't believe in divorce. We got divorce out here.
Right.
They don't nobody care about them Catholics in there. If they don't want to get divorced, they want to be unhappily married like Will and Jada, they can do that. But we got divorce here.
I think
ain't nobody saying Catholics is wrong for not getting divorces, but we got divorce here. They didn't get that one. So it's like, let's stop blaming the government. Here's the thing, I'm the last person to say stop blaming the government. I blame them for a lot of shit. But certain stuff just can't keep blaming the government.
Right.
It's not that complicated, like, really. You get what I'm saying?
I think Leanne wanted. Go ahead, Leanne. You want to say something?
Oh, I'm just sitting over here quiet. I'm saying that divorce be okay. Sorry, we got divorced. Catholics don't believe in divorce, so you know we're thwarting class. But nobody's making Catholics get divorced.
Right, but we got that law.
But we got Christians that don't believe in abortion that make abortion illegal, and not just make abortion illegal and not accessible, but they want to make it a violation of law that comes with extreme punishment to anybody who seeks that for whatever reason, being physical, mental, or by choice. That is a violation of somebody else, their anonymity and the right to make the decision for themselves. Having abortion legal does not force a single person who doesn't believe in it to do it.
Well, where's
that's the hypocrisy.
Oh, can you?
It's right there.
What's the hypocrisy in it? Because I'm sorry, I didn't.
The hypocrisy is abortion being legal does not force somebody who does not believe in it for moral reasons, religious reasons, or any reason whatsoever, because it's a Tuesday in May. It doesn't matter why they don't believe it, but it doesn't force them to do it. Prohibiting someone else's access to it based on your religious beliefs is a hypocrisy. It is a violation of the separation between church and state.
Oh, okay. So wait a minute. So you're saying, and I think this goes back to what Lola was saying. How can you prove that? Because, like you just said, separate from church and state. So how did a law, when they came up with their law that you're talking about, why are you saying that they came up with it because of their religion? Because if they did, wouldn't they? Then you're proving a point as far as the hypocrisy.
Because they say it in plain English language as they're standing on the pulpit wanting to get reelected. My God will not let me believe in this. So they say it. They use the language. They use the word. I am a Christian, and as a Christian, I don't believe that this is wrong. I believe life begins at conception. They say it. They use the words. There's nothing to prove. It's out there in the open. They're flag waving and doing whatever the heck they want to do, saying what they believe. And based on that belief, it is now considered illegal in many states. And beyond that, they are trying to attach prosecution to individuals that seek it out. They are trying to create legislation that prohibits people from leaving the state that they existed to seek an abortion by their own choice.
Yeah.
By eliminating the choice, you are forcing people to follow your doctrine.
Yeah, I know that you feel that maybe everyone here doesn't have a doctorate but don't let looks fool you, okay? Like, what you're saying is utterly.
What does that mean?
What that means is everyone here is not getting all that information from Google, okay? Like, what you're saying about the law code is not true, okay? It's really not true. And we can prove what you're saying on the opposite end for why abortion became part of the federal statute versus the state statute. Like, we can prove that what you're saying, it was a religious thing when the federal government took over what is always was a state right. And what you're trying to say is states should not have the right to have democratic elections amongst their people and decide for themselves what they want in their state. You're saying they shouldn't have the right to do that because you and your people want it to be on the federal side. And it's like, listen, this is America. We have rules here that were set up before me and you got here, and the rules are still being applied. So it's like nobody's being hurt by this. The only thing that changed.
So what was the point of the Civil War then?
What does the federal government take over exactly? What are you talking about?
When it comes to abortion, is states have a right to hold elections, and their people in their state get to say what happens in their state. And honestly, if you're saying that people shouldn't have a right to say what's going on in their state, something like you're proving your point and then taking it away at the same time. To your point about prosecuting people for getting abortions leaving the state, here's the thing. The law says if you are, let's say you are a Georgian resident, you have a Georgian ID, you cannot go out of state to commit what's considered a crime in Georgia and then come back to Georgia. You need to go move to wherever you at and become a citizen or a resident there and do whatever you need to do there. Otherwise, the state is saying you have to abide by the democratic elected rule. Again, nobody is being hurt here. Everybody has a right to go and vote, and majority rules. I really don't understand where religion is in this and why Christianity, of all things, is being blamed, because other religions feel the same way. Christianity is not the first or the only religion that shares that sentiment about abortion. Like, why are you just picking on Christians?
Because if you don't share the sentiment of that religion, you shouldn't be governed by their ideas.
People shouldn't be able to run for Senate and for city council and for Congress just because they're of a religion you don't agree with?
Based on what you're saying the Civil War was irrelevant then, because you had a section of states that wanted something to be one way, and they wanted to be independent and do things the way that they wanted to do it and make it happen. And the other section of states didn't, and the federal government intervened, thus creating the need for the Civil War.
And the side that had the most men with guns won. Now we're here, okay?
Well, go ahead.
Hold on, ladies. Hold on, Vaughn. Gotta welcome my man, Gray Pill Podcast, GP. What is good? GP, definitely share your perspective on what you're hearing. Then Vaughn, you can definitely make your point. Go ahead.
He shaved off his moustache.
We can't hear you, Gray Pill. We can't hear you, Gray Pill.
You low, bro.
We can't hear you.
What about now? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Really low.
You're really low.
I'll come back later.
Okay, I know Gray Pill. He always gonna come back and start.
What I'm trying, because I'm kind of lost, and I don't want to get away from the point as far as the hypocrisy. But Leanne, you said many states, and I see where Lola was going, because that is law. If you go across that state, you better not come back. But you said many states, so it's not all states. And the states that does approve it are Christian states,
right? Like my state.
So I'm just trying to get your main focus when it comes to the hypocrisy and what you've taught. And I'm sorry for being ignorant and cross my.
Well, there's actually no states that are Christian or non-Christian. There may be a predominance of Christians in the state, but it doesn't make them Christian. It's a state. It doesn't have a religion in theory.
Okay.
But the laws that get passed are motivated by the Christians that are in office.
Right.
I mean, you can watch.
Okay, so is it a Christian state or is it a Christian state? Like at the end of the day, it's like.
Wait a minute. You said it's not a Christian. If most of the people in that government, in that state are Christians.
Sorry, let's get a mic check. Can y'all hear me now?
Oh yeah, you got like an interference.
Yeah, contrary to popular belief, the law was
We can't hear you,
regulated.
Big Phil.
The laws that you are governed by,
Yeah, you
and
still kind of off a little bit right there.
We can't
the
hear you,
laws,
Big Phil.
the laws that you live by, and like your day-to-day stuff was literally legislated in England.
Right,
And
right.
we came over. Well, we came
right,
over.
we understand that, but we try.
No, you don't.
she
You
just
don't.
said- she just
Obviously,
said-
because
she
you
just
keep
said the
going over the
Christian-
same talking
But we
point.
say the Christian states. She said there's no Christian.
Yeah. No, I'm not. You're not even listening, bro.
Oh, but
Just
hold
chill
up.
out for a second.
Okay,
Chill.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Right?
Go ahead.
If you actually like Google like our prime minister or any head of state, you would find that the English country is a Christian country. We are governed by Christianity. Like it don't matter like who comes over here. We speak 33 different languages in one borough. People come from all different types of countries and they have their own agendas. But the fact of the matter is they need to adhere, they need to kneel, and they need to understand that this is a Christian country. Like you could be Muslim, you could be like Arabic, you could be like this, that, or whatnot. I don't really care. But if you come over here, you gotta switch your shit up fast because people will be doing some crazy stuff at you right now. The fact of the matter is if you have these things, you need to calm your pants, bro.
But you're talking.
You're interrupting me too much. Stop.
Okay, go ahead.
Stop. I'm being polite.
Go ahead. But you going
off. No, you're doing it again. Look, you just done it.
Okay, you going off the subject.
No, here we go again. Come on, don't do this. Look, just give me 2 seconds. I'll be off.
Okay.
The same thing happens in the US. Because when you are a United States citizen, everything matters to you. The rest of the world is looking at you. And you know that. Like, we have so much respect for the United States of America as a Western country. I know people from all over the world, and they would really love to actually come over to your country and integrate with you and try to be part of what you're doing. You could be the lowest degenerate. You get what I'm saying? But it's like, we see adverts and stuff, and it's like, yo, you wanna come over to Disneyland? It's like the most crazy experience. It's like the most brilliant thing you can experience. And the fact of the matter is, I'm from the UK, and I've spoken to people on panels all fucking day long across the globe, and I can never say the worst people that I've spoken to have been from the United States. What I would say is the best people that I've spoken to have been from the United States.
I got you. Your thing is working great, Phil? Your mic? Oh, yeah. Can you turn it up a little bit?
Yeah.
We can't hear you. Can you turn it up a little bit? It's hard.
84 just gave me the okay. He said my audio was good.
Okay, now it's good. It's good. Now go ahead.
Yeah.
What about now? Testes 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. You're asking for it, and I'm giving it to you. You tell me no.
Now it's good. Perfect. Now it's good.
Okay, thank you, 84. 84 gave me the blessings. Okay, we're good now. I'm just gonna hear a little bit because I was a little bit lost coming in, and this is my assessment. Simon and Leanne, if I pronounced it right, was on point with the conversation. I felt like it was a disconnect with a little bit with me Oshun and Von Erich, and yeah, I'm just trying to play catch up. So I'm just hearing real quick, and then I'll chime in when I can.
Okay. First of all, to Simon's point, Simon, you're talking about the country. Yes, Christianity. But we went into as far as the states. When she said many states adopted the federal law when it comes to the abortion. Even though it's a Christian country, its states do not have to follow the federal law. even though it's a Christian, you might say it's a Christian. States do not have to follow it. There are some states that do, as far as the Roe versus Wade, and they are Christian state because most of the people, like you just gave, as far as the country, are a Christian government organization, but they did not adapt that law.
Okay, I'm good now. All right, so I got a question. So when you talk, all right, I'm just gonna be me, because I feel like people trying to put these big words into place to sound smart, but I'm not hearing any smartness come out of it. So if you're saying, because are you trying to compare what Simon's saying about, because he said his country is a Christian government? That's what you're saying, Simon? Is governed?
Yeah, you can literally look it up. It's like if you not many people do it, but what is like if you go onto the Prime Minister's page, what you'll find is literally like a church, and that's what we don't like really understand.
Okay, so that's what you're separating from law to religion, correct?
It's correlated. So the religion was governed by law, and the religious people at that time created the law.
Okay, so Von Erich, what are you disagreeing with? Because you mentioned Roe v. Wade. I'm trying to understand, why would you bring up Roe v. Wade?
Well, first of all, great.
Oh, let's get on Von Erich real quick, because I don't want to do the.
But you're coming in the conversation way in the conversation.
That's why I'm asking questions right now, sir. I don't care about then. I'm talking about now.
You said big words.
All right, let's not get offended, because let's keep it clear. Let's not get offended. Let's not get offended, because let's keep it 100. You said some jabby moves at Simon, and the other one up here on the opposite end of the corner threw some jabby moves at Leanne. So I'm asking you a direct question. What?
Hold up.
Yes, sir.
Hold up. You just said, as far as people using big words and not saying nothing.
All right, you back to feelings. I'm trying to get to the question, sir.
Come on with that jab stuff.
I'm trying to get to the question, sir.
Yes. Come on. If you get to the question.
All right. Well, I apologize about the feelings, sir. I didn't say you directly, sir. I didn't say you directly, sir. I didn't say you directly, sir. So you taking offense.
Be humble with
I didn't say you directly, Vaughn. I didn't say Vaughn was ignorant.
Be humble. But I was one of the ones that was talking though. So be
no, it was Rush that was talking earlier. Queen was talking. 84 was talking. Leanne was talking. And Shun was talking.
You said
everybody was on the panel talking.
No, it wasn't everybody. You just pointed out, so you contradict yourself. It was me, it was Lola, it was Simon, and Leanne. So stop. Everybody wasn't talking.
Would it be okay if I apologize to you, sir? Would it be okay if I
apologize?
Why you talking then? If I don't, I'm trying to apologize, man. I apologize.
Because you're not for real with it. You did the same thing over We Are Live.
I'm trying to apologize, and you said I don't need to apologize.
You're being condescending and facetious. So stop. So I'm just.
Do I need to Google that?
I'm just saying. Maybe you do.
Okay.
I'm just saying. As far as what you're not caught up on, and the reason why Roe versus Wade came up, because Leanne and Lola was getting into as far as religion and how it's implemented in the laws, in the federal law, and then we went by state. Have you read as far as what this episode is about? It's about hypocrisy in religion. So we trying to stay on that as far as, but they was going into it as far as how it is in the government when they use religion to pass laws, federal and state.
Okay, so what hypocrisies? I'm asking you directly. So what hypocrisies have you found within religion and state here in our government?
I wasn't.
That question should be posed to Leanne, because
that's why I'm saying he can't.
The brother just told me the conversation about hypocrisy. I asked him a direct question. I'm trying to apologize to him about something I didn't even say. What's going on here?
Go ahead, Great Bill.
Okay. Is it me? So again, the question was asked to Von Erich again, so I can move on gracefully by his grace. What do you find the hypocrisy within the government, the religion, and the laws here in our government? Because we really, right now in this panel, unless somebody else actually lived in Simon's country or been there more than what, we'll say be fair, 20 times, logging in a year, Simon, to say, hey, I can understand Simon's laws. So we only can speak right now for us. So what hypocrisies have you found, Von Erich, in this government
Go ahead and answer that for me, Lola.
Okay, so between Rachel, let's get you an answer since you came in late. Okay,
Is this a tag team? I'm sorry.
No, it's not a tag team. Let me fill you in. Okay, so the crash version of this conversation is I'm making the point. Okay, that hypocrisy is not an issue of government as it pertains to religion. That's not what this is about. Okay, we can talk about hypocrisy and how people practice religion, but this is not about government. Leanne made the point that she gave an example about abortion rights and LGBTQ plus rights, okay, and how they're being restricted now, I guess, because of the parental control laws, whatever the case may be. And my question to her directly was, can you give me an example of how the federal law has implemented religious or religion inside of the law code, of the federal law code, that says anything about abortion, for instance? She said, well, it's there because the people who created the law are Christian. And I'm like, that doesn't prove that the law itself is about Christianity, because the people there, you say, are Christian. They could have been other things too, because it's not one person or whatever that is in Congress. But she said she went into, or tried to go into, another example about LGBTQ plus, and the same question was posed: what part of the federal law are you saying comes directly out of Christianity, for instance, or any other religion? She said, well, it's there if you look. And we're saying, if you can't say what it is, how are you telling us that it is? Like, it was kind of weird. But she's saying that essentially, because America is made up of mostly Christians, then the laws are geared towards Christianity. And me and Vaughn were going against that point by asking her the open-ended question of, give us an example of this. And my question, it wasn't even a question from me. I expressed to her that every country has a right to a democratic process. And if most people there are Muslim, for instance, and they want to have their government set up a particular way based on their religion, most people have voted, and this is what they voted for, that's what they should get. Like majority rule, okay? That's how we do things. If you don't like majority rules, I don't know what country you should go to, maybe, and I said maybe, Afghanistan.
Okay, I'm with you.
And my contention is Christianity is not being imposed on anybody by the federal government, because the federal government, for instance, returned the decision for abortion to the state. Like that's not a religious conversation. It's not. It was always supposed to be with the state, but it changed because of the dumb stuff. But she's saying, well, this is people pushing their religion. And I'm saying, no, this is just the way government works. If the state has a right to make a decision through a democratic process, then the state has a right to make that decision, or the state has a right to leave the United States and become its own entity. It has a right to do that. And Texas is going to do that during the Obama administration. Okay? So at the end of the day, states are like small countries here. Like
we just added 3 different things, and I have to go back to Jesus effing Christ. I'm so lost. Because I don't want to cut you off, because I feel like I have to stop you on certain things. You know what? We'll just keep rocking out until somebody says something, and I'll chime in. Like,
let me clarify something.
I think because I was trying to give you the short version, because we've been
I didn't want the whole 2 hours.
Right now. Can I ask Leanne a question before she defends herself?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
She defends herself?
Leanne, well, she's gonna respond to rebuttal. My question for you is, I can agree to your premise that those laws are ingrained into, or religion is ingrained into those laws based on the people who were creating those laws. And it's been like that for so long that it's indistinguishable, even if they don't specifically say this is where that came from. However, my question to you is that you said that basically they're taking these religious principles and using them to impose their will on other people's lives, and it's not a truly free existence here. It's actually a Christian existence. My question now is, when different religions overlap, if you will. And I heard someone say that your belief structure would be considered a religion, even if it's a religion of one. If you don't, let me just ask you straight. Do you believe that people should have the right to murder?
Living, breathing, functioning humans? No.
Anything.
She just gave the answer.
Relax, bro.
I mean, saying if I believe that they shouldn't kill somebody, that you should be a vegetarian or a vegan, and that you should not wear leather, and that you should, not eat Jell-O because I have to be all in one way or the other.
It's one of those things.
Is that your question?
Where do you draw your line? How great is the line that you would like to see? Because even if you removed religion, there would still be things that you personally believe, just out of whatever you draw your moral code from, that would align with someone's religion.
Right, but there is also a line where people's personal beliefs affect them. So, whether somebody chooses to eat meat or not is not offensive in reality to somebody who chooses not to eat meat. That is their moral code.
Don't you see people going all over the internet to other people's house saying that this is a vegan household and the smell of y'all barbecuing over here is infringing on, we can smell it, we can't keep our windows open.
It's a choice to be offended. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Being offended is a choice.
Correct.
So what I'm trying to say is that it is based on their religious belief system, and it is affecting the choice and the well-being and the lives of other people that do not directly affect them. Honest to God, they're taking it. Honest to God, that's funny. Anyway.
We'll charge that to a ticket.
God bless
what are they protecting? What are they protecting? They're protecting the premise is that the life begins at conception, I'm assuming. Or that somebody should not have the ability. I mean, you brought up murder, so that's what we're talking about, right? Murder.
For a lot of people, that's the touchy
subject. It is a touchy subject.
So let me ask you this. The reason that I posed the question that I posed is because the first commandment is what? Thou shalt not kill, right?
Yeah.
It didn't get real specific about what you shouldn't or what you should kill or anything. It just said don't be doing that. And
no, I said a human.
If we can at least agree,
human life. I think that people should have the right to end their life if they're unhappy.
I'm going somewhere.
Bro, the long stroke is crazy with just to make it a point.
Relax, bro. Where you going?
Nowhere.
Go ahead.
It's Sunday night. We cool.
It's like 10 people on a panel. And we doing 2-minute soliloquies.
Yeah. All right.
Great pill. Let him finish. Great pill.
I apologize.
Be more careful, Leanne. The question that I'm asking is that let's just use common sense, right? And let's just say our common ground is that forget animals and what you eat. Let's just say human life. Human life should not be taken by another human life. Can we agree on that?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the fact that coincides to the very first commandment in the Bible is something that you can get behind, even though you may not profess yourself as a Christian. Correct?
Yeah, loosely, yes.
So then, at some point, you have a divide on how far you want to go up that road, and where it stops serving you becomes a problem.
No, because my morals don't come from that book.
That's not what he's saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's saying that if I agree with the first commandment, that I am in some way agreeing with the doctrine of Christianity, and there's only so far that I'm going to go, because then if it's not convenient to me, I'm going to part from it because I don't believe abortion is murder.
That's what you just articulated.
But Christianity does not have the corner on morality. No religion has the corner on morality.
Right.
No one is saying that.
including you.
Okay, my moral belief is this, and my moral belief is mine.
Right.
Right. And here's the thing: if it is yours, and you share it with a few other people, and you guys want federal law to enforce your belief, you have to be the majority. And if you're
It's
not
not
the
a
majority,
matter of enforcing my belief. It's a matter of restricting
they're
someone else's.
imposing on us because they're not of our same belief system. No, if you're the majority, you vote and you get laws based on how you see fit. But that's how we do things in a democratic society.
This is a theocracy, not a democratic society. There's a big difference.
What the voting system is, ma'am, if you don't like it, you are free to go to a place where they love killing them.
What kind of place? What does that look like? If you're saying like you're free to go to another place.
As an American, she can take her passport and go anywhere in the world she wants. Unlike other countries, they can't go anywhere they want and just set up shop. As an American, she has that privilege. So my thing to her is, if she doesn't like the fact that here you have to be the majority in order to get a law passed in your favor, if she don't like that, that's not going to change. If you really need to live in a place that goes to, or let's say satiates what you feel is freedom for you, go to that place. As an American, people lived and died and fought for you to do.
So what are you saying? Like you live within a society that is just like census driven, and like unless like people do what you want them to do, that your advice is go somewhere else. Is that what you're saying?
My advice, if you feel that somebody being the majority, for instance, let's just say Catholics are the majority in Wisconsin, and you feel like they're imposing their religious belief on you, although nothing in the law code is talking about religion, because something just so happens to coincide with, I don't know, a Lent holiday or something, I don't know, and you feel like you don't like that. Meanwhile, it's only 3 people that feel like you in Wisconsin to 77 billion. You might want to go someplace that better suits you if you really have that big of a problem with it. Like, that's the only thing I can tell you.
That argument is just hyperbole. That argument is just a simple one that ends to the point of, if you don't like what I have to say, then you can go elsewhere. But that argument does not defend the 14-year-old girl in Athens, Georgia, whose uncle diddled with her in the middle of the night, and she does not have the money, the wherewithal, or the intellect to handle the child, but she's being forced by the laws of the state to carry the child despite that. There's a big difference.
And it's not about what you have to say. No matter what you say, if you're not the majority in America, North America, in the United States, okay, if you're not the majority and you vote, you probably won't get that vote. That's not a religious issue.
But that has nothing to do with hypocrisy, which is, I thought, what we were talking about.
That's what I thought too. Now I'm back to being lost again.
Hold on, Great Bill. Not hypocritical of Christians to just so happen to be the majority and they get laws passed in a country that's majority Christian. It's not hypocritical.
No.
What is hypocritical is the Christian pastor who knocks up his little parishioner and has no problem with her getting an abortion while turning around and 5 minutes later getting on the pulpit and talking about how it's wrong.
Talk about that. Yes, we can talk about the Christian pastor, but what we're not going to do is sit here and blame Christianity and the federal law for being Christians just because people just so happen to be the majority Christian here. Like, we're not going to do that.
No, you're talking about it like it's an inconvenience or it's just a happenstance.
I'm not inconvenienced by Christianity. I'm not Christian.
That's not what I'm
Can I ask Lola a question for a second? If your son,
make it direct.
I'm trying. I'm gonna try my best. Okay, so like this, peace be with me, God Almighty, be with my spirit. Look. Okay.
Okay.
I know. Yo, I don't even want to do that right now. Look.
Hey, yo, Leanne, y'all missed it. Everybody missed it.
Oh, wait a sec, bro. You keep interrupting me. I was about to say something. Just chill the fuck out for a second. What's up?
Hold on.
I got low key threatens, so I'm doing this. Virtual threats.
I was just about to ask Lola a question.
Simon, hold on. Simon, we're going to get to your question after. Go ahead, Vic.
Nobody listened to Leanne when she was talking. She was trying to tell you why she's actually upset. Everything else is intellectual masturbation. All of this back and forth just to see. We're not fucking lawyers. This ain't debate class. If we want to move the conversation forward, let's do that. The question is, What did she just say about this 14-year-old girl in Georgia? Because that's just what seemed to really set you off. What was that trigger point, and why is that story so important to you?
She was making a point compared to between what you and Lola said. That's why she brought it up.
I want to know from Leanne why she brought that particular story up.
Because it's somebody else's religion that's making a decision for somebody's life that they may not agree based on their Christianity. You are taking options away from people who need options based on your belief system.
No, what happened? We got that part. What happened in the story? What happened to this girl?
Bruh.
I'm saying, everybody wants to talk about my daughter got in this conversation with somebody at work because she happens to have a coat hanger with 1964 tattooed on her arm. I happen to have a thing, refuse to be silenced tattooed on my arm. We live in South Carolina, in the heart of the Bible Belt. We are not from South Carolina. We are from Colorado. I am a happy hippie liberal. The bottom line is this. Some man got into a conversation with her, and he has a 10-year-old daughter. And she asked him, if your 10-year-old daughter gets raped and gets pregnant, what are you going to do? And he goes, I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to take care of that family. No conversation is being made about whether it's healthy, what the mental toll is, what the emotional toll is on the 10-year-old girl who made no choice to become pregnant. Her life could be in danger. She could do it just fine. It happens. But her life is forever changed by the actions of someone else imposed on her because in the law, if she legally doesn't have the option to end that pregnancy, her whole reality from that 10 years old until the day she dies has been altered by somebody else's belief system. And that option has been removed from her world.
That already happened.
The same question, it does happen, but that same question goes in. If the dad is like, well, I would take care of her. I would take care of her with no account for his own child. You go beyond that. What if that 10-year-old girl was in foster care and it was her foster dad that did it? And she doesn't have independent resources and she doesn't have a family to help take care of the child. And she physically becomes, she has the child, she gives it up for adoption. Everybody's happy. It goes away. Everything's magically perfect for those who believe that's the option. But she has such a bad birth that she physically becomes incapable to ever have children again. That affects her personality, the way she presents herself and moves through the world, and doesn't make herself available for happiness or a relationship in the future because she doesn't think that she qualifies as a full woman moving through the world. These are all subtext scenarios that we're talking about, but these are real life issues that are being changed by a prevalence of religious belief in our government. These people, these men, it is. You're delusional if you think that's true.
A man can be an atheist and still make that same decision.
She's talking about within the system.
It doesn't matter what religion somebody is. If they're active and they decide to have the child go ahead with the birth, it doesn't matter what religion they are. I know Muslims that have been through that. I know Christians been through that. I know atheists that have been through that. How are we making that an issue of religion?
That's not what I argued. I'm talking about the restriction of access to abortion.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What about when the religion does play the role? Because a lot of people won't allow someone to get an abortion because of their religion.
Right.
I had plenty of them on my caseload. And those kids did not have a choice. And they were in the system. And they had to see that child who looked like maybe their father or their uncle. Yeah. And they resented the child, and then eventually the child is taken away from them. Yeah. So it does affect. I think the problem is that we give examples, but these are real life examples. So yes, sometimes it doesn't affect, but sometimes it does.
But Queen, I think that
people's religion will determine how they move, how they shake, and the decisions they make.
That's all true. That's all true.
It hurts and it's not even for them, it's for another person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I got
kids, they don't have a choice.
I get what you said. Nobody's arguing that children won't be affected by trauma that happens to them. However, When it comes to the way the country is ran, the way the government is ran, the government can't stop that. Okay, it's not the government's fault that happened. It is an unfortunate reality that people have to face. But at the end of the day, if the government says minors must be in the care and custody of their parents or a guardian, that guardian has decision making, like they are the decision makers for that child. And so if they say we're Catholic, if they say we're Islamic, if they say we're Sikh, if they say we're Buddhist and we believe this and these are our children, this is a natural right that they have as a family to make decisions based on what is important to them. For someone else to come in and say you don't got a right to make decisions over your children based on your culture, based on your religion, now you're becoming a rogue religion on top of that. When it comes to children that are in the care and custody of the state, again, the state is going to make a decision and the state is not going to tell her to get rid of it. That's just not how the state operates. The state will have her have the child and take the child away and put the child in foster care or up for adoption. But this is all the state can do. But again, why are we blaming the government for being mostly Christian and being wrong for being Christian when in reality, we're not even speaking as if we're talking about a government. Like, I don't know.
But I'm a little confused because isn't the government allowing kids to go against their parents? And take
that's another problem right there. That's another problem right there. That she's saying.
Hold on. I can't hear Queen.
But Queen, that's another problem that I was going to say that to her earlier when she said they're restricting children's rights. And I'm saying, no, the government has really not restricted children's rights. That's not all that's at play right here. Okay. And like I said early on, everybody wants what everybody wants, but you're not going to get everything you want. Know that as a U.S. citizen and stop complaining that you don't get everything you want. Like, know that, because the government will allow a child to make a life decision, Leanna, despite their parent, despite everything. But if the parent should so happen to let the child be hungry, they will serve time in jail. Okay? Like, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of hypocrisy. We can talk when it comes to the government.
But isn't that kind of a point?
Hold on, who talk? When it comes to the government making a decision based on Christianity and the Bible, that right there is something you're going to have to prove beyond just saying most people are Christian.
Isn't that the point that Queen was kind of making?
I didn't think that was her point.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me ask you this, because I wanted to ask Queen a question based on experience, because Queen said stuff that, hey, I got a lot of caseloads and this is what I see. So, Queen, would it be fair to say, and this from the conversations I'm hearing, I feel like people is in their own bubble until the reality that you just brought up, your experiences, until you place it in their lap and say, hey, this is what I go through on a daily basis. And shout out for you going through that, because I know that got to be draining emotionally and mentally to see that. So would it be fair to say people that doesn't experience this doesn't understand that reality until you actually have to show it to them? Queen, you there?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I heard the ending part of your
Okay,
question.
I'll repeat again. I'll make it quick. So, do you believe like people is somehow well-rounded in their own bubble?
Oh yeah.
Okay, until you present that with them, because I like a lot of stuff. Like you're telling now, I didn't know a lot of this, and then but I'm aware of most.
Well, I think the problem is that we're human and we judge things on the lenses of how we walk, how we talk, how we think. And until the BS hits your doorstep, it makes you more open-minded and more, less narrow-minded. So, there's a lot of beliefs I had, but certain jobs have totally erased those beliefs and how I think and how I move. So I think a lot of times if we're not exposed to a lot that, we just think it's like, oh, it's just this, it's that. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff and, and it's people, younger people not having control, even older people, seeing kids get taken away from them and there's nothing that they have done, I mean, they made mistakes, they've changed what they needed to change, but because it's not deemed up to someone else's standards, that they go, nope, you're not getting your kids back. We're taking parental rights. So,
I just think I think
it's crazy. It's really crazy.
I think what she said, what Leanna said at the beginning, before she said we're supposed to separate church from state. So if someone brings their religion within the law, that wouldn't that be considered breaking a law by you bringing your religion to enforce a law? But let's go with what she said as far as Colorado. And she said she's a liberal, right? But what you are saying is what liberals are saying. And guess what religion they are? Christians.
So that's not the point.
Just said,
okay, but see, your point is so loosely based on a very fragile idea.
No, I'm saying you're being, what the thing is, hypocritical. Because what you're just describing is what liberals do on Capitol Hill, right? And they are Christians. They are Christians.
They may be Christian, but they're not making the decision based on their personal beliefs. What I'm saying is anybody can be in a government and be Christian. They do not have to assert their Christian doctrine into law.
Exactly.
And they are doing that very directly. And then I want to respond to something else.
That's why we're saying we want you to prove that, because you're saying intent. You need to prove the intent that they use in religion. You also need to prove that when it comes to the liberals, because they are Christians. So you need to prove that they're not using religion as far as how they implement laws, because that goes in when it comes to intent.
That still is it's a non anything. It's not one point either way. Proving it to be a non-point doesn't make it a point. But the bottom line is, I've been told numerous times now, if I don't like the way the things are, that I need to go. No, not according to our U.S. government that you seem to be so well versed in. If I don't like the way things are, my obligation as a U.S. citizen and as an active thinking mind is to stand up and argue for what I believe should be true, so that I can influence the people that do represent me, whether they be Christian or non-Christian or liberal or Buddhist or transgendered or whatever they happen to be. The argument and the debate still can take place over and over and over again until everybody's sick of it. But when you make decisions and you put into law things based on your religious belief and not the best betterment of your constituents, that becomes a theocracy.
Yeah, and just because you say it so don't mean that's what's happening. Okay.
Well, okay. I could say the same. Like, are we trying to have a conversation? Or are we just trying to debate?
And basically, you just said, I can participate in the democratic process. And my whole point to you is, after you do that and majority rules and it just don't rule in your favor, that does not mean people are using their religion against society. That's not what that means. But according to you, because you said so, that's what's happening. Trust me.
Except there's historical precedent all over the place.
I mean, I see what she's saying. But I just would like when she's saying as far as they pushing their religion, but what you're talking about, that liberals are pushing that, and they are Christians. Some of them are Islam. They come from, they Islam. On the liberal side, and they talking the way you're talking. So, but you're saying they're not using their religion. So tell me who is then? If they're not, tell me who is.
Politicians only use religion when it suits them. Just like Leanne only uses her point when it suits her about murder. And that is the hypocrisy. So everybody else can kick cans down the street because it don't matter. You get off where you get off.
How is it hypocrisy about murder when your Jewish religion doesn't believe abortion is murder?
It don't matter what.
That's a Christian belief.
Whatever backstory you tell with it doesn't change the fact that it's murder, and you don't have to be any religion to know that.
Based on what belief? That abortion is murder?
Okay, let's just
That's not established.
Let's use real life examples, right? Apparently, you have some kind of a personal experience with someone that shares some of those stories that you you given earlier because you seem very passionate about it. So let me tell you what I'm passionate about. I've definitely listened from a room next to another room at girls crying their eyes out about decisions that they can't take back. And it ain't got nothing to do with nobody taking nothing from them that didn't belong to them. And to act as if somehow you're doing the world a disservice by allowing them to then take a wrong and cancel it out with another wrong, as if those are somehow going to equal a positive, when you're just spreading more chaos and more destruction. And that little girl who was or inappropriately handled by someone who was an adult is no better after the case, even if you gave her the right to rid herself of that demon spawn or whatever you would like to call an unborn, unadulterated child.
Well, I just wanted, now someone just said it's conservative. Daryl said conservative. Okay, so it's the conservative that's pushing that religion. Okay, but the Democrats on their side, they're Christians and they under religion, but they not pushing their religion. Oh my goodness. That's not.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Because I haven't said anything much. Okay. Let me say this. Number one, I wanna really salute Leanne. Leanne, I watched a lot of your material on Instagram. I just want to say you are great in what you do. Thank you for coming up here and just sharing your point of views. I know that debates. Sometimes they get a little heated. But I just want to say salute to you, salute to everything you're doing on social media, because I've definitely watched some of it, and yeah, continue to be great in everything that you do. So I just want to say that to you.
Amen.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we continue.
I can roll with
Good
it.
talking points. Very good. I appreciate you too. Well, I just wanted. You don't have to give me that. Daryl Mason, he needs to come up. Come on up, brother, and show us the difference what's going on our heads. Please come up and show us what's going over our heads. Well, at least my head, because I'm slow. I'm kind of slow. So please come up. And
Daryl, sir, do what you doing in the chat, okay? You took a jab at me. I'm not taking it personal. It is what it is. Clearly, people taking stuff personal versus just actually trying to have a conversation. So, Daryl, you keep doing you, brother. Keep doing you. Troll away, talk away, laugh, and giggle away too. Do you? What's good, Bolo? Bolo, I don't want Bolo on this thing though. I don't want Bolo here. I don't want Bolo.
No, come on up, Bolo.
No, Bolo needs to in the chat.
No, come on up. Bolo.
No.
And Daryl.
Bolo could really answer the question. So can anybody else?
I know Bolo can, but you know what? Because I want this little mixture of stuff. But when Bolo comes, it's like it comes to like, oh man.
I want Daryl to come up. I want Daryl to come up and Bolo, because it's going over.
Exactly, Daryl. It's not worth the effort. Now we're engaging in the chat.
Because I know Daryl. I know Daryl.
4, 5, 6, 7. 7 people on the panel, and we're engaging the chat. That don't make no sense.
I know Daryl is humble. I know Daryl is humble, and I know Bolo is humble. They won't come up and do things to offend somebody. They on a humble-hearted person. Come on up, Daryl. I want to hear your conservative argument. Well, I ain't gonna say it. Shouldn't say conservative.
The man just said you can't even listen to Leanne, so you're not gonna listen to him. So why he even put in the effort?
I did listen to Leanne. I listened to her. I agreed with her, but I just seen things.
You agreed with her?
Yeah, agreed with some things that she was saying.
What you agreed with her on?
I agreed with some. Ray Pill, please.
Yes.
I agree. I agree.
I can't ask no questions on this panel, bro.
Not to me. I agree. I agree.
All right, my bad. I got to talk to Lola to talk to you, and I talk to Lola. Okay, cool. All right.
I agree with you were saying. I just seen some holes in your arguments, and that's the reason why I said, as far as you saying pushing religion, you got Christians on the liberal side, and you have Christians on the conservative side. How is one doing it and not the other? I just think that's which
The
matches up
existence
what
of
we
somebody
said.
being a Christian isn't the issue. The idea is they're pushing their religious doctrines as Christians into
Okay,
law. There's a
okay, so
difference. Somebody can
okay,
be a Christian and live and let live.
okay. So let's put the Christianity out. It's still religion. People on the liberal side and on the conservative side, especially on what you're saying. The liberal people says that on Capitol Hill. They are in a religion. So how is one doing it without the other? That's what I want. Daryl, if he can come up and explain that, because he said conservative. You didn't say that, but he did.
Daryl's saying a lot. Daryl's saying a lot.
What about the women who use abortion as birth control? Is that all right?
Is that for me to decide? Or we're supposed to decide that as a society? That everybody's allowed one or the circumstance of what's going on?
So my question
isn't that between them and their God, as one would consider it?
Hang on, let me clarify my question. So, if you open a door, you don't get to choose who comes through it.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, if you want that little girl in that messed up situation to have that option, then you also choose the ratchet who's just doing whatever and don't mind just paying the little $400 to get rid of it.
That's their life.
So I'm saying, are both of those things equally okay with you?
Yes.
Say less.
So, I mean, because I think that they should be able to do what they want to do doesn't mean I think what they're doing is right. There is a difference.
So isn't it so then it comes down to what? Interpretation?
No, it comes down to personal choice. She has to live with the demons that she creates, as well as, and I'm not telling you that a 10-year-old is necessarily going to make that decision. And no, trust me, I got some experience on this one.
No, I'm
so
I'm laughing at
He's still in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But I'm sorry. Yeah, I see what you're saying on that point. It's like I see exactly what you say. I just see holes in it.
But Von Eric,
holes in everything. There's no surefire answer that covers every possible scenario. But one does significantly restrict the options to a very specific section of society.
Von Eric, but on the flip side, if everything went in the direction on the flip side, he would still be at the point of saying, well, hey, if you're okay with this, then what about this is clearly wrong? And then somebody on the flip side would say, well, I guess I got to be okay with that because I want this over here. So here's the thing. The government has to say, okay, we got a wounded person. We have a baby, a human life that didn't ask to come here that we have to protect too. We have an assailant, or we have 2 consensual adults, okay, and 16 abortions, and now it's on the taxpayer, okay, issue, okay, with medical care. All right, now we got that going on. So now we got to figure out what's best for the country. Let all the radicals get as much as they want. Let the parents have no rights. Force people to have babies in certain states or do this. Now the government has to make a decision. You know what the government's going to say? Let the states figure that out based on their culture and what's important to them in their states. That's the best thing the government can do. It's not important.
I think
making the decision what's accessible and what is legal is 2 different things.
Can do. It's the best thing the government. It's not the thing that the government can do that's going to make everybody happy, but it is the best thing that the government can do.
I think that's what don't the government do that because the government doesn't.
The government just started back doing that recently on this issue of abortion, and now they're tackling parental rights as it pertains to LGBTQ+. But this is what's happening. This federal government is returning the right to the states to decide laws that are contingent for their state specifically.
I got you.
Okay.
I think,
are you aware that abortion is the largest killer of the black population among all of the things taking black life, since everybody screamed Black Lives Matter, right?
Who's screaming that?
If that is the case, are you okay with essentially legislating black genocide?
You said number one black killer is abortion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess because she's saying that she's a liberal, that if they believe Black Lives Matter, do they believe Black Lives Matter as it pertains to maybe what's considered here as racial genocide, based on what happened? Are they okay with that too, since they're liberal and stuff like that?
Right, because laws can be targeted and weaponized, and if we act as if the invention of the gun was only to defend or hunt, then you would be naive in thinking that whatever angle your mind has perceived for a tool is the only way it will be used. So it's very critical that you entertain all of the possibilities before you move on something.
Right, but that's what I was saying, Victor, that the government has to consider all of these things and figure out what's best for the entire country. So at some point, the government, specifically on this issue with Leanne about abortion, say, you know what, it's best that each state or in each region do what's best for them and their population. Every state doesn't have the same issue. Like some states have more marriages than they have baby mamas. Some states. Okay, some states have more rapists than they have anything else, or rapists. Okay, like this is different. So it's like the federal government saying what's best for the country is that each state has its own process of how it's going to come up with rules regarding this particular topic. That's what happened. And people were in the streets yelling out, they just made abortion illegal, which is not what happened. In my state, in Maryland, it's still just as illegal. It's still just as legal as it was back in 1980. Like nothing has changed here with us. However, the amount of time that you have to get an abortion isn't as high as it used to be. I think that might have something to do with taxpayer issues. But at the end of the day, abortion is not illegal in the United States. It's restricted, which everything is restricted. You can't do any and everything here all the time. Everything restricted. Like you can't even buy 4 gallons of milk. They be like, you only getting 2.
Who buy milk?
Like everything restricted out here.
I don't drink milk.
You. I got restricted.
How many gallons of milk can you get?
Everything's restricted. But I mean, and that is the true situation. But I was saying that in jest. But I'm just being clear that when we talk about imposing religion, right, we need to be really clear and really specific. Because if I'm supposed to say, oh, I see a group of Christians trying to basically make Christianity a law even for non-Christians, right? Then that has to be blatant in the law. It has to be blatant in terms of intent, as Vaughn said. But for us to just assume, well, this is someone's intent because it just so happens that the majority, this is loose, okay? And if Leanne says, well, I don't have to prove that the other side isn't doing the same thing, okay, fine. Well, you will prove something. You just won't just give us your word and tell us this is the facts because you said so.
Yeah, but you're trying to make it an absolute in black and white. It's not that simple.
No, it's not that. I'm trying to make it an absolute. I didn't make a claim. I didn't say Christians are doing anything or not doing anything. She said Christians are doing this. Religious people are doing this. And so I asked, well, how, when you see what you mean? She said you should be able to see it. That's what her answer was to me. I should be able to see it. And this is what is going on, even though I'm asking, well, what example can you give? She's saying, well, basically it's implied. That was the word she used. And my thing is every word